Old Madame Lu saw that Yun Chujio had sworn an oath, so she snorted coldly. Speak. I want to hear what you have to say from the bottom of your heart. Grandmother, why don't you give me a seat? I've been chased away by this nanny gal this morning. I'm exhausted to death. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Old Madame Lu took a deep breath and gritted her teeth. Sit down. All right. Granny Gao, get someone to bring me a pot of tea and a few plates of snacks. Grandmother and I will chat while we eat. Granny Gao was holding a bunch of lotus pods in her hands. She felt that her brain wasn't enough. Didn't old Madam just shout for death? Why did she let that country bumpkin sit there in such a short time? She even wanted to drink tea. She even wanted to eat snacks. How could you be so thick-skinned? The old madam would definitely not agree. Grandmother, don't tell me you don't even have tea and snacks here. Forget it. Fortunately, I have prepared myself. I usually do things that I can do on my own and don't trouble others. As the fellow spoke, he took out a pot of tea and a plate of snacks from his storage ring. Yun Chujio ate 2 pieces of snacks and sipped on 2 cups of tea until old Madame Lu was about to fly into a rage. Only then did she say, Grandmother, in the most straightforward person. Just say what you have to say and don't pick on me. Say what you have to say, and say what you have to say. Old Madame Lu was so anxious that she was sweating. What exactly was this little slut going to say? Grandmother, do you think that I was too vicious when I broke Jun Chen's leg today? Old Madame Lu heard Yun Chujio mention Mo Jun Chen and her anger immediately rose again. Yun Chujio quickly said, Granny Gao, don't just stand there. You have nothing better to do. Peel the lotus seed pod for my grandmother and let her calm down. When Granny Gao saw that old Madame Lu did not object, she really helped old Madame Lu peel the lotus seed pod. Grandmother, although Junchen and I are not of the same mother, we are still siblings. Can I be that vicious? You don't know that even though I broke his leg, my heart is bleeding. Yun Chujio wiped her tears with her sleeve as she spoke. Mo Fangqin could not help but curse in her heart. This fellow's acting was really good. He cried just like that, as if it was real. Old Madame Lu frowned suspiciously. The little slut looked really sad. What was going on? Grandmother, sigh. I'll tell you the truth. I'm not targeting you, nor my younger brother Junchen. I'm targeting second aunt. You must be wondering why I'm targeting second aunt when I have no enmity with her. In doing this for my father, and also for Junchen. Although I wasn't brought back for a long time, I've heard some things. For example, my eldest uncle and my third uncle were filial to you and grandfather. Only my father ran to Jinchuan City to establish his own family. This must have been instigated by second aunt. She has no good intentions. Yun Chujio said angrily. Old Madame Liu's heart moved. If there was one thing she was most dissatisfied with about Madame Luo, it would be the matter of Madame Luo urging Mo Cheng to move to Jinchuan City to establish his own family. Therefore, when she heard Yun Chujio mention this matter, she could not help but lean forward. Yun Chujio had been observing old Madame Liu's expression. When she saw the situation, she could not help but feel smug in her heart. The fish had taken the bait. Grandmother, there's a good saying. With your parents around, you won't be able to travel far, much less move to Jinchuan City to settle down. Second aunt kept saying that she was doing this for my father's good, but I could not see what was good about it. My father was ostracized by the other forces in Jinchuan City, how could he have the glory of first uncle and third uncle? Yun Chujio said with a twitch of her lips. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujio's face revealed an angry expression. Grandmother, our Mo family is definitely one of the best in this Fonli city. Why must second aunt urge my father to set up his own family? That's because she doesn't want to come over to pay her respects to you or listen to your teachings. She wants to be the mistress herself. She wants to avoid you. She just felt that there were no tigers or monkeys in the mountains that could call themselves kings. She wanted to be the master of her own house. You are so good at managing the house. You are so wise. If she were to live by your side, you would definitely point out her shortcomings. How could she be as glorious as she is now? You don't even know that second aunt is now amazing. Who doesn't have the right to address her as Madame Luo respectfully? How would they know that there's still you in the MO residence? Slut. Second brother is a soft-hearted person. That slut will do whatever she says. I'm really angered to death. Old Madame Lu was so angry that she started cursing. She was originally dissatisfied with Lady Lu urging Mo Cheng to establish his own family. Now that she heard Yun Chujia's words, she naturally could not contain her anger. Grandmother, please calm down. This body is the most important. Please continue listening to what I have to say. Firstly, I can't stand the fact that second aunt is unfilial to you. Secondly, I'm worried about my sister Fonghua and brother Junchen. Yun Chujio said bitterly. Old Madame Lu could not help but snort coldly. You don't have to be so hypocritical. Fonghua is outstanding among her peers, and Junchen is even more sensible. What are you worried about? Grandmother, let's talk one by one. Let's talk about my sister Fonghua first. Yes, Sister Fonghua does have high spiritual power, and she is as beautiful as a flower. However, the most important point is that second aunt has taught her badly. She doesn't put you in her eyes at all. Sometimes, she doesn't even call you grandmother. She only talks about that damn old woman. She also says that you are rude and unworthy to be the mistress of the Mo family. You should hand over the power of the housekeeper to second aunt. What? Impossible. Fonghua has always been filial. How could she say that? It must be you, this little slut, slandering Fonghua. Old Madame Lu said angrily. Grandmother, why are you always so anxious? Please listen to me. I can't run away. You can find me at any time to settle the score. I reckon that my father and the others might come tomorrow. Sister Fonghua might also come. You can observe and see if I'm right. See if she doesn't put you in her eyes. Yun Chujio picked up her teacup and took a few sips. Firstly, she was thirsty, and secondly, she was secretly observing old Madame Liu's expression. Yun Chujio saw that although old Madame Lu said she didn't believe it, her expression was a little suspicious. Then, she continued, Grandmother, I'll talk about Jun Chen after I finish talking about Fonghua. Jun Chen is the only boy in our two branches. Do you think I want dote on him? I will be married in the future. If anything happens, don't I still have to rely on Jun Chen as a younger brother? Old Madame Lu heard Yun Chujia's words and her heart grew more convinced. What this little slut said made sense. Her mother's family was a woman's backer. There was no reason for her to harm Jun Chen. Grandmother, the reason why I hit Jun Chen is really for his own good. Grandmother, I know that there are some things that I have said and you will definitely be unhappy. However, I still have to say some advice that is harsh to the ear. Although you have taught him well, how can second aunt, that short-sighted person, compare to you? Therefore, some of Jun Chen's bad habits are caused by second aunt. Yun Chujio was the best at avoiding the serious and making light of it. In any case, it was right to let Madame Luo take the blame. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Grandmother, let's talk about the truth behind closed doors. Jun Chen is already 13 years old, but his spiritual power is only at the third level of the supreme spiritual stage. Don't you think it's a little low? Although he was young and unpredictable, he was really too naughty. Not to mention other things, he even dared to make a big fuss in front of his grandfather's study and even called himself Little Master. With his temper, if he were to go out and provoke someone extraordinary, it wouldn't be as simple as just breaking his legs. At that time, not only would he lose his life, even you and our MO residents would be implicated. At that time, it would be the end of our family. Grandmother, every time I think about this, my heart would turn 100 times. I wanted to say it, but I was afraid that you would be angry. I didn't want to say it, but I was really worried about Jun Chen. So, today, I might as well make a scene. Firstly, it will let Jun Chen learn his lesson. Secondly, it will give you a chance to teach second aunt a lesson. Yun Chujio said until here, and shed a few crocodile tears. Old Madame Lu frowned. Although she was unwilling, she felt that what Yun Chujio said made some sense. She doted on Mo Junchen very much. If not for today's incident, she would not have the patience to listen to Yun Chujio even if she was spouting all sorts of nonsense. However, when she recalled the scene where Mo Junchen's leg was broken by Yun Chujio today, if Mo Junchen had offended someone else today, it would not be as simple as just breaking his leg. What opportunity! Of course, old Madame Lu wasn't willing to attribute Mo Junchen's mischievousness to her doting, so she naturally agreed with Yun Chujio's words. All of this was caused by Madame Luo. Grandmother, I think you also know that second aunt brought me back to use me. My father was deceived by her and agreed to it. However, by doing so, she pushed my father to the edge of the cliff. I am my father's biological daughter. If this matter were to spread, how would people comment on my father's character? A vicious tiger would not eat its own son. This method is worse than a beast. Not only will my father's reputation be damaged, even your and grandfather's reputation will be affected. Who will benefit in the end? Isn't it still her second aunt? Maybe there is something going on with her family. Yun Chujio was completely clueless. She had heard a lot of things from the onlookers in Jinchuan City. After some polishing, she had pieced them together. Old Madame Lu was originally unhappy with the rise of Madame Luo's family. After hearing Yun Chujio's words, she immediately became suspicious. Could it be that that slut was really doing this for her family? No wonder the Luo family had risen over the past few years. Perhaps it was that slut who had dragged a lot of things into her family. How hateful. Grandmother, let me say one last thing to you from the bottom of my heart. It would be a lie to say that I don't hate second aunt. However, as long as she doesn't have any second thoughts about you and is honest in the future, I won't say anything more even if it's for little brother Junchen. Yun Chujio said sincerely. HMPH, you are still sensible. Why didn't you tell me this before? Old Madame Lu believed Yun Chujio's words, so her attitude softened. Yun Chujio gave a wry smile. Grandmother, second aunt must have ruined my reputation. Even if I told you, you might not believe me. It was said that a granddaughter could not be separated until she was destroyed. After all that had happened, wouldn't the two of us become even closer? Matriarch Lu curled her lips. You said that this is a good opportunity to deal with Luo Shi. What kind of opportunity is it? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Grandmother, you are so wise. Do you still need me to show off? You are the mother-in-law and she is the daughter-in-law. As long as she enters the old residence, you can do whatever you want to her. You are too soft-hearted. That's why her plot succeeded. You have to be more ruthless to her. Although my father and Junchen might not be happy, but for the sake of the long-term plan, this is what you love about them. Yun Chujio said in a flattering manner. Old Madame Lu said with a little pride, you little girl, you sure know how to talk. Not bad, I'm just too soft-hearted. You're just a slut who was supported by a concubine. You're still letting me flatten you. Grandmother, I have a suggestion. Do you think it's appropriate? My third sister's aunt had a gentle personality. She was often bullied by second auntie. Originally, she could have given you a few fat grandsons. But because of second auntie's interference, my poor father did not dare to enter Auntie Chio's room. Find a catalyst to bring Auntie Chio to the old residence, and then call my father back if there's anything else. I believe that you'll have a plump grandchild next year. Moreover, you can also use this to teach Auntie Chio a lesson and let her know that you're not someone to be trifled with. No matter how powerful her family is, she still has to listen to you. After Yun Chujio said this, Mo Fankin's face instantly turned red. This country bumpkin was really shameless and dared to say anything. Old Madame Liu's heart stirred. As the matriarch of the Mo residence, she naturally hoped to have many children. Out of the 3 sons, Mo Cheng had the fewest children. This last suggestion was not bad. This way, she might really have a few more fat grandsons. Furthermore, she might even be able to get Mo Cheng to move back. At the same time, she might be able to teach Luo Shi a lesson. What you said makes sense. I'll consider it. Old Madame Liu's tone had already softened considerably. At this moment, Yun Chujio stood up and pulled Mo Fangqin to bow respectfully to old Madame Liu. Grandmother, your granddaughter offended you previously. Your granddaughter is in the wrong. Please forgive your granddaughter. Old Madame Liu saw Yun Chujio and Mo Fangqin doing so, and the last bit of resentment in her heart also dissipated. She nodded. Forget it. I'm already so old. How can I really lower myself to your level? As long as you are obedient and don't bully Jun Chen, I will naturally dote on you. Grandmother, we still can't bear to dote on Jun Chen, how can we bully him? In a few days, when Jun Chen's injuries are better, we will go and see him again. We will definitely coax him to be happy. Yun Chujio said with a smile. If your hearts and your words are the same, I will not mistreat you. If I find out that you are lying to me, I will not forgive you. Grandmother, look at what you are saying. Firstly, we don't have the guts. Secondly, you are someone who doesn't know how to read between the lines. How can you not know whether we are sincere or fake? Yun Chujio said flatteringly. Old Madame Liu might have been too angry with Yun Chujio previously. She suddenly felt very comfortable after being flattered by Yun Chujio. Her head and buttocks were originally hurting, but now they were no longer hurting. Didn't your grandfather ask you to accompany him to read books? You can't dress too inappropriately, so I'll give these 2 sets of clothes to you. Old Madame Liu said as she took out 2 sets of clothes from her storage ring. One of the 2 sets of clothes was fiery red while the other was lake blue. Yun Chujio, this fellow, said with a smile, I like to be festive the most, so am thick-skinned enough to choose this red one. Third sister, I've wronged you by asking for that lake blue one. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Fangqin smiled. Big sister, look at what you're saying. You're saying this on purpose because I like lake blue, right? Yun Chujio's expression froze and she sighed. Third sister, I know that you usually pick second sister's clothes to wear. It's not easy for you to like the color of the new clothes this time. How can I compete with you? Moreover, I really like red. Red is so festive. Perhaps our Mo residence will have a happy event soon. Old Madame Liu saw the 2 sisters humbly give in to each other. She was even more satisfied and dissatisfied with Madame Luo. Although Fangqin was the daughter of a concubine, she was too harsh. The money she saved might even be used to fill the Luo family. It was really detestable. Thank you for your reward, grandmother. You should rest well. We will take our leave first. We will come and pay our respects to you tomorrow after accompanying grandfather to finish reading, Yun Chujio said respectfully. You may leave. If you are not free tomorrow, you don't have to come over. There was no comparison, so there was no discrimination. Yun Chujia's previous appearance of a dead pig not afraid of boiling water was a stark contrast to her current appearance of obedience, therefore, old Madame Lu looked particularly pleasing to the eye. "Grandmother, how can that work? No matter how busy I am, I still have to come over and greet you. Granny Gao, take care of grandmother carefully. If you need me to do anything, send a maid to look for me." Yun Chuzhou shamelessly took on the role of a favored granddaughter automatically. She gave orders to Granny Gao. Granny Gao did not recover from her shock and nodded her head blankly. Damn it, this country bumpkin was so full of himself. Why did the old madame's attitude change so drastically? She was originally calling her a little slut. How did she become a little girl now? She was originally rebellious and unfilial. How did she become sensible now? She had wanted to kick him out of the Missouri estate, but now she had been rewarded with 2 sets of clothes. This Miss Fong Chao had angered the old madam to the point of death. She had even broken young Master Jun Chen's leg, and now everything was fine. Moreover, from the looks of it, not only did the old madam not hate her, she seemed to like her a little. Wasn't this a little too mysterious? The most unbelievable thing was that there hadn't been anything for Madame Luo to do here. How could the culprit be Madame Luo in such a short period of time? Granny Gao pinched herself secretly and grimaced in pain. Although all these things had happened in front of her eyes, she still couldn't believe that a person could change the world with just his words. This Miss Fong Chao was really a god. Although Granny Gao had a lot of thoughts in her mind, she didn't say anything. She wasn't stupid. Now Miss Fong Chao not only had the protection of the family head, but the old madam didn't seem to bother her anymore. If she said anything bad at this time, it would be asking for trouble. Although Mo Fongqin appeared very calm in the house, after leaving the main courtyard, her entire body trembled slightly. It wasn't fear but excitement. There was also an indescribable emotion. In short, her entire body was in a state of excitement. The country bumpkin actually said a lot of things. Not only did he resolve grandmother's hatred towards her, but he also transferred the hatred onto Mrs. Luo. Most importantly, he saved Aunt from that cannibal place. Although it wasn't completely safe to go to the old residence, at least Mrs. Luo didn't dare to do anything openly in the old residence. Aunt wouldn't be in any danger for the time being. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Fongqin wanted to say something, but she did not know where to begin. Therefore, she excitedly followed Yun Chuzhou back to Tingyi Xian. "Sis, I originally thought that you were there to anger grandmother. I never expected that you were there to convince grandmother. How did you know that grandmother and Luo Shi did not get along?" Now that Mo Fongqin had a backbone, she might as well address Luo Shi directly. "I guessed. Which parent wouldn't want their son to live closer to them? Even if the idea of starting a family was father's idea, grandmother would only blame second aunt. I was only fanning the flames." "Then how did you know that grandmother would listen to your explanation? Aren't you afraid that grandmother will really arrest you and punish you?" "Tch. She wouldn't dare. Didn't you see that grandmother saw grandfather like a mouse seeing a cat? She wouldn't dare to go against grandfather. Moreover, what I said was all reasonable and reasonable. She would definitely believe it. Third sister, I'm telling you, as long as you give me the right opportunity, there's no one I can't fool," Yun Chuzhou said proudly. This fellow also felt that this matter was done too beautifully. It could be said to be killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Firstly, he had temporarily removed old Madame Liu's hostility. Secondly, he had successfully dragged Madame Luo down with him. Thirdly, he had even managed to rescue Auntie Chiu. It was perfect. Mo Fongqin wanted to retort Yun Chuzhou, but she couldn't find any fault with her. This country bumpkin was simply too good. However, this is only a temporary victory. We need to continue working hard to consolidate our victory. Yun Chuzhou understood that Mo Xiaoting and old Madame Lu were both cold-blooded and heartless people. This pitiful impression of her could not be maintained for long. If she did not show her worth as soon as possible, Mo Xiaoting would quickly give up on her. At that time, she would once again fall into a dead end. But, how should she show her worth? Alchemy? Talisman making? Puppets? Not afraid of being struck by lightning? Yun Chuzhou rejected every single one of them. Although these skills were valuable to Mo Xiaoting, it was very likely that they would put her in a new crisis. Who knows, Mo Xiaoting might even send her to some powerful organization and lock her up to serve them. Yun Chuzhou did not have any good ideas at the moment, but this person was very generous. In any case, she wouldn't have any problems for at least 8 to 10 days. She wanted to enjoy herself first. The next morning, after having breakfast, Yun Chuzhou and Mo Fangqin arrived outside Mo Xiaoting's study room. Mo Xiaoting had not arrived yet, so the two of them naturally could not enter. They could only wait outside the courtyard. Yun Chuzhou did not let go of any opportunity to win their hearts. She turned to the guards and said, "Thank you for your help yesterday. These snacks are for you." The guards quickly declined. Yun Chuzhou smiled and said, "They are just some snacks. They are not worth much." Seeing that Yun Chuzhou insisted, the guards had no choice but to accept the snacks. They were more or less touched. It was not because of the snacks, but Yun Chuzhou's tone and words. Yun Chuzhou said, "Give rather than reward," which somehow made them feel comfortable. Mo Fangqin watched from the side and remembered what Yun Chuzhou said to her yesterday, "Third sister, never underestimate these small figures. Although they are weak and their positions are not firm, as long as you can make good use of them, they will be a huge force. Not only that, but you can also get a lot of useful information from them." Some of the information in the words that I lied to my grandmother was from the people in Jinchuan City. So, I have to use every opportunity to gain a good impression and gain sympathy. Just as Mo Fangqin was deep in thought, Mo Xiaoting arrived. "Grandfather. You're here. Did you sleep well last night? Did you have a good breakfast? It feels like we've been apart for a few years. I've missed you so much." Yun Chuzhou greeted him eagerly. As for the issue of shame and integrity, it had never been in his mind. What was more important than his life? "Go in." Mo Xiaoting was a little confused by Yun Chuzhou's enthusiasm. His grandchildren were like mice to a cat when they saw him. They were so timid that they couldn't even speak properly, let alone be so attentive. Yun Chuzhou winked at Mo Fangqin. She was trying to teach her a lesson. Mo Fangqin's heart was about to collapse. "Big sis, I won't be able to learn how to be so shameless even if I wait another 10 years. You are so shameless." The guards' faces also turned stiff. This Miss Fangqiao was really lively. After the three of them entered the study room, Yun Chuzhou immediately pretended to wipe the desk and ordered the maids to make tea. She was extremely busy. "Grandfather, the morning air is the freshest. You should open the window to get some fresh air. Don't mind your granddaughter's blabbering. Although this is an important business, your health is more important. How can your body withstand the fatigue of working day and night? There's no end to this matter. It's best to combine work and rest." Mo Xiaoting sat in his chair as he watched Yun Chuzhou busily work like a little bee. As he listened to Yun Chuzhou's incessant mumbling, he strangely did not feel annoyed. Instead, he felt a trace of filial piety. Mo Xiaoting could not help but laugh at himself. It was a joke that he only felt a trace of filial piety towards his newly found granddaughter despite having so many children and grandchildren. His three sons treated him with respect not because they were filial, not because they admired him, but because they were afraid, because of the benefits. Because, only by pleasing him would they gain more benefits and be able to inherit the Mo family in the future. The grandchildren were either afraid, or because they were following their parents' orders to please him. None of them were filial from the bottom of their hearts. Mo shouting was deep in thought. He naturally knew that Yun Chujio was doing this to please him and to find a backer. However, he could still feel a trace of sincerity and filial piety. If she wasn't truly thinking of him, how could she have thought of such a detail like opening a window? If Mo shouting knew Yun Chujio's intention of opening the window, he would probably be so angry that he would vomit blood. Although Yun Chujio had opened the window to catch her breath, the most important thing was that when she had arrived yesterday, she had discovered a spirit fruit tree outside the courtyard. The fruit was red and big, it looked very tempting. Only by opening the window could she take the opportunity to bring up the topic of the fruit tree so that she could eat it. It had to be said that this was a beautiful misunderstanding. After a while, Yun Chujio finally calmed down. "Grandfather, please take care of your business. Third sister and I will wait on you from the side. If there's anything you need, feel free to let us know." Mo shouting nodded and began to take care of his business. The Mo residence was a powerful organization, so it naturally had many businesses and shops. Every day, someone would send over all sorts of news. Mo shouting wasn't satisfied with his 3 sons, so he only handed over some unimportant businesses to the 3 of them. Most of the work was done by himself. Mo shouting was busy with his official business, so Yun Chujio couldn't sit still for a while. Yun Chujio glanced at the bookshelf. There were many books on it, and her heart skipped a beat. She didn't know much about the immortal Yuan continent, so it was a good opportunity for her to learn more. Yun Chujio's eyes darted around. Mo Fankin's heart skipped a beat. What was this guy trying to do? "Ahem, grandfather, can third sister and I look at the books on the shelves?" Yun Chujio asked carefully. Mo shouting couldn't help but laugh. It's grandfather's fault for being careless. Since he asked you to come over and read with me, of course you can look at the books on the shelves. But, be careful when you look at them. Don't get them dirty. Grandfather, don't worry. We are all good children who cherish books. Yun Chujio happily pulled out a book to read. Mo Fangqin also chose a book she was interested in. After a while, Mo Fangqin found that Yun Chujio changed a book. A moment later, Yun Chujio changed a book. A moment later, Yun Chujio and changed a book. In a short while, Yun Chujio changed several books. Mo Fankin's eyes twitched. What the hell are you doing this time? Although Mo Fangqin was curious, she did not dare to make a sound. She was afraid of disturbing Mo shouting. Mo shouting noticed that Yun Chujio was switching books frequently and could not help but shake his head. Yun Chujio's personality was a little off. She was probably just looking at the pictures inside. It was almost noon and Mo shouting was out for work. Naturally, Yun Chujio and Mo Fangqin could not stay in the study room, so they had no choice but to leave. After leaving the study room, Yun Chujio looked at the spiritual fruit on the tree and swallowed her saliva. She already knew that it was a scarlet cloud fruit. Although it wasn't of a high grade, its juice was plentiful and its taste was delicious. The fellow comforted himself. There was plenty of time in the future and he couldn't afford to be impatient. Only then did he reluctantly walk out of the study room. Mo Fangqin saw Yun Chujio walking towards the main courtyard and said in confusion, "Big sis, it's time for lunch. Let's go back and have lunch before we greet grandmother." Idiot. The food at grandmother's place is definitely better than ours. Let's go and freeload. We might even be able to watch a good show. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Watch a show. Watch what good show? Well, know when the time comes. Hurry up, if grandmother finishes eating, we won't be able to freeload. After saying that, Yun Chujio dragged Mo Fangqin and ran away. Mo Fangqin had no choice but to follow Yun Chujio and run to the main courtyard like a crazy girl. Running around the courtyard for a meal, Mo Fangqin felt that her moral integrity had already left her. When the maid on duty saw that the two of them were about to go in to pass the message, Yun Chujio shouted, "Grandmother! Grandmother! We have come to pay our respects. Come in." Inside the house, old Madame Lu was about to have lunch when she heard Yun Chujio's voice. She couldn't help but frown. This little girl really came. "Grandmother, did you sleep well yesterday? Did you have a good breakfast? We haven't seen each other for a night. It's as if we haven't seen each other for several years. I really missed you," Yun Chujio said obsequiously. The corner of Mo Fangqin's eyes twitched violently. "Big sister, is it really okay for you to copy what you said to grandfather? Won't you change it a little?" Old Madame Lu pursed her lips. "This little mouth of yours is really sweet. I don't know if it's real or fake." "Grandmother, as time goes by, you will know if I am truly filial. Third sister and I did not even have lunch to greet you. Do you think we are sincere?" As he spoke, he peeked at the dishes on the table. He cursed in his heart. This old lady was really extravagant. She actually had so many dishes on her own. Hearing Yun Chujio's words, old Madame Lu finally had a smile on her face. "Are you still going to accompany your grandfather to read in the afternoon? Grandfather has something to attend to, so we don't have to go over in the afternoon. Grandmother, you should eat quickly. If the dishes get cold, it will affect your taste and it will also be bad for your stomach," Yun Chujio said with a smile. The smile on old Madame Liu's face deepened. "All right, you little girl are quite attentive. Grandmother, actually, this person has two sides of being attentive and careless. That's why I don't take him seriously. I'm usually the most temperamental, but when it comes to matters between you and grandfather, I naturally have to be attentive." This fellow had never been stingy in boasting about himself. What a joke, if you don't say something, how would others know? The fragrance of wine was afraid of the depth of the alley. "You little monkey, you really know how to talk. Since you guys haven't eaten, let's eat together. Anyway, there are so many dishes." Old Madame Lu scolded with a smile. "Hee hee, grandmother, you're really amazing. Did you guess that I'm here for lunch? I can't help it, who asked you to have delicious dishes here?" Yun Chujio said with a cheeky smile. Old Madame Lu scolded her with a smile and asked the maid to add 2 more chairs. The 3 of them sat down to eat lunch. Granny Gao was dumbfounded. Yesterday, old Madame Lu was still shouting about fighting and killing. Today, they were sitting together to eat. This title had been upgraded from a little girl to a little frisky monkey. This was completely a nickname. No matter what, this Miss Fong Chao had sent a big bunch of lotus seeds yesterday. Today, she didn't take anything and just left to eat lunch. Granny Gao boldly guessed that it would not be long before Miss Fong Chao would become the most favored granddaughter. Perhaps, only young Master Jun Chen would be more favored than her. The rest of her grandchildren would be further behind. As the 3 of them were eating, Yin Hong walked in and reported, "Old Madam, First Madam, Second Madam, Third Madam, and all the young misses are here to see you." Old Madame Lu was taken aback. "Luo sure is here." "Yes, not only Second Madam is here, Miss Fang Hua is here as well." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes, she lowered her voice and said, "Grandmother, it's a little strange. Why are they here together? Could it be that second aunt went to first aunt and third aunt first? Logically speaking, second aunt and sister Fang Hua should have come to see you directly when they came. How could they go past you to see their peers?" Old Madame Liu's anger was immediately roused. She slammed the table. "That slut! She must have gone to the eldest and third daughter-in-law to fan the flames again. She definitely doesn't have any good intentions. Grandmother, that's not necessarily the case. Perhaps second aunt went to ask what exactly happened yesterday. Yun Chujio explained openly, but in reality, she was adding fuel to the fire. Humph. Won't she just ask me directly? This bitch might be taking advantage of this opportunity to take Junchen back. She's getting the eldest and third daughter-in-law to speak up for her. How outrageous. Yun Chujio was secretly happy. Damn it, this old woman's imagination was too strong. This time, there would be a good show to watch. Second aunt, Mo Fonghua, don't let me down. You're courting death. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Grandmother, you are really too wise. What you said makes sense. How about this, you send them to the living room and we will sing a good show so that you can test her intentions. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and said. Sing a good show? What do you mean? Old Madame Lu asked in confusion. Yun Chujio mumbled to herself. Old Madame Lu thought for a moment before nodding. Yin Hong, ask them to wait in the living room. Tell them that I'll be there after lunch. Yes. Hearing Yin Hong's words, Madame Luo and the others could only rush to the living room to wait. Sister-in-law, did father really approve of Feng Chao? Madame Luo still couldn't believe it. The bumpkin had only been here for 2 days and Mo Xiaoting already approved of her. How was this possible? Second sister-in-law, I don't know if father appreciated her or not, but he really did ask her and Fang Qin to accompany him to the study room to read. Wu Shi gloated in her heart. This bitch was only promoted by her concubine. What right did she have to be on the same level as me? This time, her son's leg had been broken and Fang Chao and Fang Qin had even beaten Fang Hua. How satisfying. At the side, Lady Niu's eyes flashed with a gloating light. She said with a fake smile, second sister-in-law, that Fang Chao was really ruthless. She directly broke Jun Chen's leg. Although mother wanted to punish that Fang Chao, father protected her, so there was nothing she could do. Madame Luo's eyes couldn't help but redden. On one hand, she felt sorry for her son, and on the other hand, she hated Yun Chujio and Mo Fangqin. Even old Madame Lu hated them. It was all this old fart's fault. If she didn't have to bring Jun Chen over, would Jun Chen have suffered this? Usually, she always talked about how to pamper Jun Chen. Now that Jun Chen's leg had been broken by that slut, she didn't even let out a fart. Just as everyone was talking, old Madame Lu came in from outside the door. After old Madame Lu sat down, Madame Luo and Mo Fonghua came over to greet her. Old Madame Lu saw that Mo Fonghua was very perfunctory in her greeting, and her expression was arrogant. She thought of Yun Chujio's words in her heart, and her face immediately became gloomy. This Fonghua really didn't put her, this grandmother, in her eyes. She was really detestable. Old Madame Lu said coldly, "Why did you come over? Where is Cheng Er?" "Mother, husband came with us. As soon as we entered the city, we met Big Brother. Husband followed Big Brother to the Satin Manor," said Madame Luo. "Then why didn't you come to see me directly when you and Fonghua entered the city?" asked old Madame Lu with a gloomy face. Madame Luo couldn't help but be stunned. Her expression was a bit unnatural. She paused for a moment and then said, "Mother, I saw that it was lunchtime, so I didn't come to disturb you. I went to sister-in-law's place to sit for a while." Old Madame Lu snorted coldly. "You should be thinking of an old woman like me. Sit down." Madame Luo's heart thumped. What did this old fogey mean? Mo Fonghua frowned. She saw that old Madame Lu was very unhappy with Madame Luo's sarcasm. She thought for a moment and said, "Grandmother, I heard that Junchen was beaten up by a country bumpkin. I want to go and see Junchen." Old Madame Lu smacked the table. How dare you? You want to leave right after coming here. Do you take me, your grandmother, seriously? Usually, although Mo Fanghua was not as favored as Mo Junchen, she had never been reprimanded in such a manner. Her face immediately flushed red as she argued, Grandmother, I'm only worried about Junchen. I have no other intentions. Old Madame Lu was even angrier. How dare you talk back? Luo Shi, you have taught your daughter well. Fanghua, why aren't you apologizing to Grandma? Madame Luo saw that the situation wasn't right and quickly winked at Mo Fanghua. When old Madame Lu saw this, she became even angrier. It was just as Fang Chao had said, Fanghua's good child had been spoiled by this slut. Mo Fanghua's eyes were slightly red as she said stiffly, Grandma, I was wrong. Humph. All of you have grown up and grown up. How can you put an old woman like me in your eyes? Old Madame Lu said with a strange tone. Mother, look at what you are saying. You are still young. If you were to say that you are our elder sister, people would believe you. Madame Luo was truly at a loss. What was this old fogey trying to do? No matter how she praised her for her youth, this trick was always effective. Clang! Old Madame Lu slammed her teacup to the ground. Luo Shi. You bitch. Are you trying to be on equal footing with me? Old Madame Lu nearly exploded from anger. This was because she recalled that Yun Chujio had said that Madame Luo wanted to vie for the authority of the family. Now, she was talking about elder sister. Wasn't it obvious that she wanted to be on equal footing with her? It had to be said that old Madame Liu's imagination was really strong. The main reason was that she was already dissatisfied with Madame Luo. Now, her dissatisfaction was magnified. Madame Luo was on the verge of collapse. What was wrong with this old fogey? How could he not be able to tell that he was lying? Mother, please calm down. I was wrong. Madame Luo had no choice but to admit her mistake and get through this first. Humph. You were wrong. How can you be wrong? How capable are you? You forcefully instigated second brother to move to Jinchuan City. The two children who were perfectly fine were taught badly by you. You shameless slut. Madame Luo had been living in luxury in Jinchuan City all these years. In addition, her mother's family's influence was constantly growing, and her back had hardened. Hearing old Madame Lu humiliate her like this, her anger couldn't help but rise. Mother, father and you agreed to move to Jinchuan City back then. Besides, what's wrong with Fanghua and Junchen? Fanghua was considered outstanding among the younger generation in the Western continent. Junchen was indeed a little mischievous, but that was all because of you. Did I teach him? Old Madame Lu was so angry that she was trembling. Bitch. Good. Good. You really have grown wings. You actually dare to talk back to me. According to what you said, Jun Chen's leg is broken. Is it also because of me? Mother, there are some things that a daughter-in-law shouldn't say, but since you asked, I can only tell you the truth. Firstly, Jun Chen has spent most of these years growing up in the old mansion. You have to bear a lot of responsibility for his mischievous character. Secondly, Jun Chen's legs were broken by Fang Chao right under your nose. Won't you let someone stop him? Madame Luo thought that since they had already fallen out, there was nothing to be afraid of. Besides, she had her mother's family backing her up now, so the Mo residents wouldn't dare to do anything to her. Slut! Kneel down. Nanny Gao, bring me the family law. Old Madame Lu was so angry that she almost passed out. It was just as Fang Chao had said, the culprit behind all of this was this slut. When Madame Luo heard what old Madame Lu said, she immediately said, Mother, I think you're most likely not in good spirits today, so your words are a little chaotic. Since that's the case, Fang Hua and I will go to the Luo residence to stay for a few days first. When your anger has subsided, we will return. After Madame Luo finished speaking, she did not care whether old Madame Lu agreed or not. She directly took Mo Fang Hua and left. It's the other way around. It's the other way around. This bitch. I'm so angry. Old Madame Lu was so angry that she almost passed out. Wu Shi and Lady Niu did not know how to persuade old Madame Lu when they saw how angry she was. They were afraid that they would get into trouble. Old Madame Lu became even angrier when she saw that all of them were motionless like wooden stakes. It seemed that they were just like that slut. They all wished for me to die as soon as possible so that they could divide the family fortune. What a bunch of slut. At this moment, Yun Chujio rushed in from outside. Grandmother. My dear grandmother, what's wrong with you? Your anger is hurting your body. Quickly calm down. Mo Fangkin's mouth twitched as she followed her in. She thought to herself, you're asking even though you know the answer. Isn't this all part of your plan? Yun Chujio rushed to old Madame Liu's side, she coaxed and advised, Grandmother, don't be angry. If you're angry, won't you be punished by someone? Someone is like a grasshopper after autumn. No matter how much they jump, they won't be able to escape from your palm. It's not that you can't beat her, it's just that you are too merciful and soft-hearted. There's still plenty of time in the future. I won't be angry, I won't be angry. If you are angered to the point that your body is damaged, as your granddaughter, my heart will ache to death. Old Madame Lu let out a long sigh. You are still the filial monkey, that slut from the Luo Shi. And that Fang Hua is infuriating me to death. Wu Shi, Niu Shi, and company had their eyes wide open. Their mouths were agape. Oh God, in just a night, how did the world change? Didn't the old madam still yell at this country bumpkin yesterday? Didn't she call him a little slut? Why, did she become so affectionate today? Little monkey. This was obviously a nickname. What exactly happened? Yun Chujio saw that old Madame Lu was almost done being angry, then she said to Wu Shi, Niu Shi, and the others, first aunt, third aunt, I didn't do what I said yesterday. Please don't take offense. Yesterday, grandmother taught me a lesson. I have already learned my mistake. In the future, I will definitely be filial to grandmother and take good care of little brother Junchen. Wu Shi and Niu Shi were dumbfounded. What the hell was going on? Old Madame Lu snorted coldly, didn't you hear Fang Chao apologizing to you? Why are you still standing there? Fang Chao, it's good that you know your mistake. It's good that you know your mistake. Wu Shi and Niu Shi felt as though they had been bickering in their hearts. Why did the two of them, who were incompatible with each other yesterday, suddenly turn into grandfathers and grandsons? Eldest brother, third brother, that slut Luo Shi has returned to her home. What should we do? Asked old Madame Lu with a cold expression. Wu Shi and Madame Niu exchanged glances. Wu Shi said, Mother, second sister-in-law is clearly unhappy with you. I reckon that only second brother can bring her back from the Luo residence. Mother, second sister-in-law's rebuke to you clearly shows that she doesn't take you seriously. You shouldn't have allowed second brother to bring her back. It's better to leave her alone for a few days. Wu Shi and Niu Shi wished for the matter to blow up. This way, the second branch would not be able to compete with them for the family assets. Upon hearing the duo's words, old Madame Lu became even angrier. Is there a need for you to say all this? What's the point of keeping her in the dark? Won't others judge her? What I want is for that slut, Luo Shi, to bow her head and admit her mistake. Wu Shi and Niu Shi frowned. Luo Shi was clearly planning to shed all pretense of cordiality. How could she possibly come back to bow her head and admit her mistake? Besides, she still had the Luo family backing her up. You two are useless. Fengchao, tell grandmother. Do you have any way to make that slut admit her mistake to grandmother? Matriarch Lu looked at Yun Chujio, who was standing to the side. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and leaned over to whisper a few words into old Madame Liu's ear. Old Madame Liu kept nodding her head. You little monkey is really smart. Alright, we will do as you say. Wu Shi and Niu Shi were extremely curious. What method was this country bumpkin talking about? Mother, what method is Fengchao talking about? Niu Shi asked out of curiosity. Humph. If I told you, you might have tipped off that slut, Luo Shi. When the time comes, you will naturally know, said old Madame Liu with a cold expression. Wu Shi and Mrs. Niu's faces turned stiff. What exactly happened? How did a country bumpkin suddenly become the most favored? The two of them did not have as much confidence as Mrs. Luo, so they naturally did not dare to retort. In any case, they would know what was going on sooner or later. The two of them spoke a few more sentences dryly, then brought Mo Fang's Huang and the other two out of the main courtyard. Sister-in-law, what kind of sorcery did that country bumpkin use? Why does the old madam and the family head favor her so much? Lady Niu asked in puzzlement. Third brother and sister-in-law, am also very puzzled. They were clearly shouting about fighting and killing yesterday. How did they all change in one night? Wu Shi was also baffled. The two of them discussed for a long time, but they still could not figure out what was going on. However, both of them had other plans in mind. Inside the room, Yun Chujio leaned against old Madame Liu's ear and said, Grandmother, now is a great opportunity to uncover eldest aunt and third aunt spies. They must be wondering why our grandfather and grandson have reconciled. Therefore, they will definitely think of a way to find out about the spies they have planted in your yard. All you need to do is get Nanny Gao to send someone to keep an eye on them. Old Madame Liu nodded her head in praise. You are indeed smart, little monkey. Not only did you manage to uncover their informants, you even managed to uncover that slut Luo Shi's informants. Grandmother, how can my little bit of cleverness be compared to your wisdom? I have much to learn from you. Yun Chujio openly flattered her. Mo Fengqin, who was standing by the side, had her mouth twitch. She reckoned that she would never be able to learn this shameless personality of hers in this life, the next life, or the next life. After Yun Chujio coaxed Matriarch Lu, she brought Mo Fengqin back to Tingyi Xian. Elder sister, what ideas did you come up with for grandmother? Mo Fengqin asked curiously. I asked grandmother to send a reliable person to fetch your aunt over, and then I asked grandmother to stop father from going to the Luo residence. Luo Shi will definitely go for it. That's not all. I even asked grandmother to tell grandfather to suppress the Luo residence's business. With a two-pronged approach, there's no need to be afraid that the Luo clan will not bow down. Mo Fengqin was pleasantly surprised. This was great. She could take the opportunity to bring her aunt to the old residence. Furthermore, her grandmother and Luo Shi had already fallen out, so she would definitely send people to protect her aunt's safety. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed with a stern look. Luo Shi, Mo Cheng, we are not afraid of settling scores. Let's take it slow. At night, just as Yun Chujio was about to fall asleep, the voice transmission charm in her storage ring began to vibrate. Yun Chujio took out the voice transmission talisman with a trembling hand. Di Baiming's deep voice came from inside, Little Jiu, from now on, men and women are not related to each other. You take care. If it was an ordinary girl who received such a message, she would definitely cry bitterly and seek death. However, it was clear that Yun Chujio was not an ordinary person. She blinked her eyes, she smiled and said, all right. Anyway, I also think that you are quite useless now. However, should we talk about the breakup fee? You kissed me, touched me, and left just like that. After a long while, there was still no movement from the sound transmission talisman. Yun Chujia's anger immediately flared up. Damn it, pretty boy, you're good. If you have the ability, then don't let me catch you. Break up with me. I think you want to fly up to the sky and stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun. I think you want to go into the deep sea and have a mouth-to-mouth conversation with that bastard. Pooey. No, he can only have a mouth-to-mouth with me. Xiao Hanio asked weakly, Master, why aren't you sad? Generally speaking, shouldn't a girl be heartbroken after being broken up? Heartbroken my ass. This gigolo needs to be taught a lesson. Either he was forced to, or he has some incurable disease, or he has some difficulties. Otherwise, he wouldn't break up with me. Xiao Hanio stared at him with his precise eyes and was even more puzzled. Master, why do you say that? Is it possible that he has changed his heart? Has he fallen in love with another girl? TSK. That's impossible. I'm not bragging, Master. The gigolo is completely loyal to me. Unless there's some force majeure, he would only do something stupid. Otherwise, would he dare to say that? Besides, where would he find such a gorgeous, smart, and beautiful woman like Master? Yun Chujio pouted and said. Xiao Hanio, silent. Xiao Hanio took a long time to put his shattered worldview back together. He asked curiously, Master, what are you going to do next? Humph. The gigolo must have reached the immortal Yuan continent. Otherwise, the sound transmission talisman would not work. Naturally, I have to meet him. I want to see what this idiot is up to. Yun Chujio said angrily. It would be a lie to say that she was not sad. However, this guy's mental endurance was not something ordinary people could compare to. What was the use of being sad? The gigolo would die for her. How could he break up with her for no reason? There must be a problem. What was there to be afraid of if there was a problem? Just solve the problem. However, the gigolo liked to be stubborn. He had to think of a way to force him to come out and meet her. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and sent a voice transmission talisman to Enfeng, little lunatic, did you follow your exalted lord to the immortal Yuan continent? Yun Chujio was simply a blind cat trying to kill a mouse, but she had scared Enfeng on the other side. Enfeng carefully glanced at Di Biming beside him. After feeling an even colder air than before, he couldn't help but shiver. Oh my God! Although His Majesty was originally arrogant, he was still a little popular. Now, he was like an ice sculpture, scaring people to death. Enfeng carefully said, Your Majesty, the 9th Miss has sent a voice transmission talisman to me. Can I see it? Di Biming frowned and clenched his hands tightly, not saying a word. Enfeng saw that Di Biming didn't say anything and didn't dare to move. He couldn't help but wail in his heart, oh my God! Oh my God! What is wrong with you, my lord? The 9th Miss is in the MO residence in front, why didn't you go in to take a look? Could it be that you are here to look for your wife? You stay behind to protect her in the dark. If she is injured, you have no value to live. Di Biming said coldly and turned to leave. Your Excellency, then, where are you going? I am going where I should go. Don't let her find you and don't tell her anything about me. Di Biming's eyes flashed with pain. It disappeared in an instant and returned to a cold and solemn look. Enfeng would have taken the opportunity to persuade Di Biming in the past, saying that there was something to discuss. However, ever since Di Biming's temperament had changed drastically, he did not dare to do so anymore. He had seen with his own eyes how Di Biming had severely injured Shui Wuji, who had gone to the Temple of Immortals to interrogate him. He had also seen Di Biming staring coldly at Di Lin Han and the lady of the temple master. He had also seen with his own eyes how terrifying Di Biming's powers had become. He knew that the person in front of him was still His Holiness, but he was no longer His Holiness. Just as Di Biming was about to turn around and leave, the voice transmission talisman started to vibrate again. Di Biming's footsteps paused, but he still used his divine sense to probe inside. Yun Chujia's giggling voice came out from the voice transmission talisman. "Pretty boy. You've abandoned me in the end and you still don't want to pay the breakup fee. Since that's the case, then I can only rely on myself. Anyway, the Mo family has a lot of shops, so I will sell your paintings. I believe that money will be rolling in soon. When that time comes, the entire Immortal Essence continent will be filled with your paintings. Tell me, isn't it very interesting? Isn't it a pleasant surprise?" Di Biming's eyes darkened, and the veins on his forehead bulged, and a cold air came out. Anfeng could not help but shiver. It was so cold. Oh God, it must have been Miss Jiao who said something. However, it was not too much to scold His Excellency. They were going to break up out of the blue. He was really mentally ill. Damn. Well scolded, so scolded. Di Biming took a deep breath and prepared to leave. At this time, the sound transmission talisman trembled again. Di Biming paused for a moment and then sent his spiritual sense in. Yun Chujia's smug voice came from inside again. "Pretty boy, don't worry. I will not hang myself on your crooked tree. In a few days, the Mo residence will be mine. At that time, I will hold a marriage ceremony. Anyway, I have spirit stones. I will recruit a few hundred of his husbands. Every night, I will flip through the name tags and ask him to sing a lullaby for me if I like him." Anfeng was secretly observing Di Biming's expression when he saw the green stone slabs on the ground start to shatter one by one. He was so frightened that he shrunk his neck and said weakly, "Your Excellency, the earth, the earth." Anfeng had not finished speaking when he saw Di Biming leap out with a whoosh. He only saw an afterimage. Di Biming was heading towards the Mo residence. Anfeng curled his lips. "I told you, the wicked will be tortured by the wicked. Little brat, no matter how cold and ruthless you are, you still can't escape from Miss Jiao's palm. By the way, should I go and watch the show? For the sake of my life, I'd better forget about it." After Yun Chujiao sent out the voice transmission talisman, she hit the pillow. "Pretty boy. Bastard. Do you think I care about you? Do I have to have you? A beautiful girl like me, don't you have too many people chasing after me? Pretty boy, you are so shameless. If you turn against me, you won't recognize me anymore. Just you wait, I will draw it now. I don't believe that I can't teach you a lesson." While Yun Chujiao was cursing, she felt a little cold. Damn it. As expected, people are so unlucky that even a mouthful of cold water is enough to choke their teeth. Why did the weather suddenly change? Is it going to rain? Sigh. It's good to rain. It's just like how I feel. I gave my heart, but in exchange, I got a big bastard who abandoned me. As he spoke, he took out a stack of drawing papers from his storage ring. On them, cough cough, were all Di Biming, the naked Di Biming. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. TSK, I have to say, although the gigolo has no conscience, his figure is really not bad. If it really doesn't work, he'll make a few puppets in the future and make them all look like gigolos. I'll do whatever I want with them. When the time comes, these puppets will be called Gigolo number 1, Gigolo number 2. All the way until Gigolo number 250. I reckon that when I sell these puppets, they'll definitely be very popular. I will definitely make a huge profit. The more he talked, the more his thoughts became like wild horses that could not be pulled back. Then, the door was smashed into pieces. Yun Chujio looked up and saw Di Biming standing at the door. Di Biming was full of murderous aura and his face was full of anger. It was obvious that he was very angry. When Yun Chujio saw Di Biming standing at the door, she did not cry or make a scene. Instead, she asked faintly, "Are you going to die soon?" "Humph. I really let you down. My body is very healthy. I can live for thousands of years without any problems." When Di Biming heard Yun Chujio's first question, he actually asked if he was going to die. One could imagine the anger in his heart. Actually, even if you are going to die soon, it doesn't matter. Who doesn't live without who? You are here to give me a breakup fee, right? Hurry up, you can leave after giving me the money. I can use this money to support a few more husbands. When the time comes, he'll have a bunch of little ones. Just thinking about it is beautiful. Yun Chujio stretched out her hand with a smile. You don't know shame. Di Biming was so angry that he gritted his teeth and smashed the dressing table in the room. I don't know shame. Di Biming, are you shameless? Do you have the right to criticize me? Did I make you break up with me? Or did I make you abandon me? Don't tell me you have some bullshit reason. Just solve the problem if you have a problem. I despise cowards like you who always sacrifice yourself to help others. Why are you glaring at me? You think you're great. You're a coward. You think you can't overcome the difficulties you encounter, so you pretend to be affectionate and break up with me. Pfft. Do you think that I will be grateful just because you did this? Dream on. Let me tell you, Di Biming, the moment you said that you were breaking up with me, you were no longer my Prince Charming in my heart. You are an out-and-out coward. Hurry up and give me the breakup fee, then get lost. I, Yun Chujio, am looking for an indomitable hero, not a self-righteous bear. Yun Chujio pointed at Di Biming's nose and started cursing. Although the cursing was very fierce, the rims of her eyes were red. Di Biming clenched his fists and his eyes were red. After a long silence, he took a deep breath and said, "You are right. I am a coward. Forget about me." Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. She thought that after she said those words, Di Biming would tell the truth. She did not expect that he still did not relent. This meant that the severity of the matter had exceeded her imagination. Moreover, she also noticed the change in Di Biming. Although she could not see the level of Di Biming's spiritual power, but since he was able to sneak into the Mo residence, it meant that his spiritual power had increased a lot. Most importantly, Di Biming's personality seemed to be even colder than before, and even a little colder. What exactly happened? Pretty boy, although I don't know what happened, no matter what happens, I, Yun Chujio, will not be afraid. I will kill gods and Buddhas whenever I encounter them. If you turn around and leave today, there will be no room for redemption between us. Damn it! Who doesn't know how to say harsh words? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Di Biming's eyes were fixed on Yun Chujio, and Yun Chujio was also fixed on Di Biming's eyes. Both of their eyes were bright red. They were obviously filled with endless affection, but what they said were ruthless and malicious words. Di Biming wanted to turn around and leave, but his legs were extremely heavy. He knew that once he took this step, there was really no room for redemption. He had already made up his mind. Why did his heart ache when he heard that little Gio wanted to find another man? He had already decided to let go. Why did he only want to hug little Gio when he saw her pretending to be strong? Di Biming gritted his teeth and finally turned around, wanting to leave. Pretty boy, very good. This is what I want too. Let me tell you the truth. The Guai Chao in my dantian has begun to corrode my dantian. I estimate that I won't be able to live for more than 3 months. Initially, I thought that I wouldn't be able to see you again. Seeing you before I die would be considered as having no regrets. There is no fate between us in this life. In the next life, let's not see each other in the next life. We are fated but not fated. After saying that, Yun Chujia's tears flowed down. She lay on the bed and wailed loudly. Di Baiming suddenly turned around and ran to the bedside. He was about to take Yun Chujia's pulse. Get lost. I don't want you to pretend to be kind. You must be giving me such an act because I'm about to die. You ingrate, get lost. Just let me die on my own. I'm also someone who no one will love. It was not easy for him to think that he was going to die, but he was snatched to the immortal essence continent. The worst thing was that I won't live long. I'm going to die. Woo woo, Yun Chujio was crying so hard that it almost broke Di Baiming's heart. The Guai Chao in his dantian felt that he had been wronged to death. He had been very well behaved recently, all right. Why did he throw the blame on him? Damn it. Di Baiming was so anxious that his forehead was covered in sweat. When he saw Yun Chujio crying so hard that her small body was trembling, it seemed like she was going to faint. His heart was in pain as he said, "Little Jiu, don't cry anymore. I'll bring you back to the Tian Yuan continent and let my master rebuild your dantian." Rebuild my dantian? I don't want to. Anyway, you don't want me anymore. What's the point of me living? I'll just die in the immortal Yuan continent. I don't want my grandfather and the others to be sad when they hear the news of my death. Sigh, I'm a person with a bitter life. I was abandoned at birth, and I can't even fucking cultivate. It wasn't easy for me to be able to cultivate, but there's still a Guai Chao in my dantian that wants my little life. I met you. I originally thought that we'd be a pair forever, but I never thought that you'd be a fucking bastard who abandoned me from the beginning to the end. Sob, what's the point of me living? Fuck, I can't live anymore anyway. I've decided to use the sudden rupture talisman to blow me and the people in the MO residence to death tomorrow and let them die with me. I can be considered to have died a glorious death. Yun Chujio cried as she spoke, her voice full of cadence. Di Baiming wanted to hug Yun Chujio in his arms to comfort her. However, when he thought of the purpose of his visit, he couldn't help but be in a dilemma. He was so anxious that he gritted his teeth. Yun Chujio saw Di Baiming's unlucky look through the gaps between her fingers. She couldn't help but curse in her heart. He's so damn stubborn. Looks like he'll have to take the initiative to attack. Just as Di Baiming was sweating profusely, Yun Chujio suddenly got up from the bed and pressed Di Baiming on the bed. Then, she kissed him. How could Di Baiming have expected such a turn of events? He wanted to resist again, but the little pervert was determined to trick him, so he had no choice but to comply. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujio bit and gnawed continuously. Di Baiming could not hold it in any longer and turned around to press Yun Chujio under his body. After lingering for a while, the two of them finally ended this earth-shaking long kiss. Both of their lips were slightly red and swollen, especially Di Baiming's lips, which were even bleeding from Yun Chujio's bite. Yun Chujio turned around and pressed Di Baiming under her again. Humph. Didn't you want to marry me? Then why did you kiss me? You stinky hooligan. Di Baiming had never thought that he could be related to the word stinky hooligan in his life. He could not help but feel embarrassed and grabbed Yun Chujio's wrist. Your dantian is fine. Are you lying to me? Di Baiming frowned and asked. Sigh, although it's fine now, something will happen sooner or later. Actually, I also understand why you want to break up with me. There are 3 shameless people in my dantian. Moreover, I have the heavenly thunder spirit root that Tian Dao wants to kill. Most importantly, I can't have sex with you. Of course, you despise me. As Yun Chuzhou spoke, tears fell again and fell on Di Baiming's face. Nonsense. When have I ever despised you? Di Baiming reached out his hand to wipe away the tears on Yun Chuzhou's face. You don't have to be so kind. If you don't despise me, why did you break up with me? Yun Chuzhou said angrily. Sigh. Little Jiu, I really did it for your own good. If we don't break up, you will be implicated by me sooner or later. Di Baiming had no choice but to grit his teeth and say. Are you stupid? Then won't you become stronger and protect me? Yun Chuzhou pouted and said. Di Baiming let out a long sigh. Little Jiu, there are some things that I can't tell you. Moreover, I don't know much myself. Of course, I want to become strong enough to protect you, but am afraid that before I become strong enough, you'll be implicated by me. I'd rather die myself than let you die because of me. So, let's split up. Don't worry, I won't marry anyone else. I won't fall in love with another woman for the rest of my life. Yun Chuzhou poked Di Baiming's chest. Are you stupid? Are you stupid? You think that if you break up with me, I won't be in danger anymore. Your so-called threat is that no matter how powerful you are, you can still be as powerful as Tian Dao. I'm not even afraid of Tian Dao, so why would I be afraid of a bullshit threat? Besides, I'm such a talented person, will I always be so weak? I'll become stronger. When the time comes, I'll fight side by side with you. Whoever wants to break us up, I'll destroy him. Di Baiming did not speak for a long time. Then, he suddenly turned around. Yun Chuzhou realized that she could not move anymore. Di Baiming looked at her. The expression in his eyes was very complicated. There was pity, love, guilt, and a hint of struggle. Little Jiu, remember what you said. If you can gain a firm foothold in the immortal Yuan continent in 3 years, and am still alive, we will get married. If you can't, I will also arrange for someone to help you kill the members of the Mo family, including the members of the Mo family and the Ben family in the eastern continent. I will help you resolve the future problems and send you back to the Tian Yuan continent. You can find someone to marry. Yun Chuzhou knew that Di Baiming was serious this time. Her eyes flashed with a dazzling light. 3 years. Okay. Then, 3 years. But, Gigolo, are you going to let this go after torturing me like this? If I become a heaven's favorite in the immortal Yuan continent in 3 years, you will have to kneel down and propose to me in front of all the mighty figures in the immortal Yuan continent. You will also say that you are looking down on me and underestimating me, Yun Chuzhou. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Di Baiming gritted his teeth. All right. If you really do it 3 years later, and am still alive, I'll do as you say. I won't go back on my words. Di Baiming kissed Yun Chuzhou on the forehead, got up and got off the bed. He had 1,000 words in his mind, but he did not know what to say. In the end, he only said 2 words, take care. Di Baiming was about to leave. Yun Chuzhou shouted, you can't leave like this. Other people's doors are fine, but mine is broken. How can I explain tomorrow? Don't you have the strength and know where to use it? Go and smash a few more doors. This guy did not want to admit it. She just wanted to torture Di Baiming. Di Baiming nodded. Just as he was about to leave, Yun Chuzhou spoke again, untie my shackles. Otherwise, what if there are bad people after you leave? Don't worry, I will untie you in less than 15 minutes. The reason why Di Baiming imprisoned Yun Chuzhou was that he was afraid that she would cause trouble again. At that time, he would not be able to harden his heart and leave. Alright, since that's the case, you can leave now. However, you have to remember that you have to protect your little life well. Because your life is not only yours, but also mine, Yun Chujius. If you die, I will immediately cuckold you. You dare. Di Baiming gnashed his teeth and glared at Yun Chujio. What's there to be afraid of? Since you're already dead, can you still turn into a corpse? Yun Chujio pouted and said, in her heart, this gigolo really did not mean what he said. On one hand, he asked her to marry someone else, and on the other hand, he was jealous. He was simply a lunatic. Don't worry, I won't die. You, on the other hand, are lazy and gluttonous, have low spiritual power, and have a temperamental personality that likes to cause trouble. Don't flaunt your little life away. HMPH, that's because I'm not serious. If I'm serious, even I'm afraid of myself. Maybe in less than 3 years, it'll become very awesome. Alright, go and knock on the door. Otherwise, they'll think that you can't bear to part with me. Yun Chujio sniffed and said. Di Baiming nodded and left the house. When he reached the courtyard, Di Baiming closed his eyes and clenched his fists tightly under his sleeves. He was silent for a long time. When Di Baiming opened his eyes again, they were filled with a murderous aura. With a flash, a few afterimages flashed past and the doors of the courtyard were shattered. Not only that, half of the doors of the MO residence were shattered into pieces. For a moment, the MO residence was in a mess. An phone was waiting outside the MO residence. When he heard the commotion inside, he could not help but feel puzzled. With the Supreme's current spiritual power, it was impossible for him to be discovered. How did he cause such a huge commotion? Just as Anfone was feeling puzzled, Di Baiming appeared in front of him. Anfone could not help but curse in his heart. The supreme spiritual power was simply inhuman. Why was there no sound at all? Protect her well. If there is anything that cannot be resolved, send a message to me. Yes. Your Majesty. Just as Anfone finished speaking, Di Baiming disappeared without a trace. Anfone touched his chin. His Majesty's lips seemed to be torn and somewhat swollen. Could it be that he was bitten by the ninth miss? TSK, the ninth miss was really fierce. A tsundere like His Majesty should let the ninth miss deal with him. He did not know how their conversation went, but since they had kissed, they should have made up, right? What exactly did His Majesty go to do? Anfone was alone in the wind for a while before he left. At this moment, the MO residence was in a mess. What a joke, the door had been smashed to pieces, it was impossible not to be in a mess. After Yun Chujio could move, she blinked her eyes. Damn it, I'm not in a good mood today, don't you all stop. Help. Help. It's so scary. It's so scary. Yun Chujio shouted a few times. When she realized that no one was moving, she couldn't help but slap her thigh. The gigolo must have knocked the 3 of them out. But that was also true. Otherwise, they would have woken up long ago. After Yun Chujio woke up Qing Ji and Qing Lu, she went into Mo Fangqin's room and found that Mo Fangqin was also unconscious. Of course, she wouldn't remind Mo Fangqin that she was knocked out. Instead, she said with disdain, "Third sister, you're sleeping too hard. Our door was smashed, but you can still fall asleep." Mo Fangqin's face was full of confusion. When she raised her head, she indeed found that the door had shattered into pieces. "Big sister, what? What's going on? How would I know? Come, let's go to grandmother's place to get a good impression of her." Mo Fangqin was now Yun Chujio's little fan. She put on her coat and followed Yun Chujio out of Tingyi Xian. The two of them ran all the way to old Madame Liu's courtyard. Grandmother, are you okay? I was so worried. Yun Chujio hugged old Madame Lu and said with a sobbing voice. Old Madame Lu was stunned by Yun Chujio's big bear hug. However, when she saw Yun Chujio's red and swollen eyes, she could not help but feel a little touched. This little girl seemed to be really worried, otherwise, her eyes would not be so red and swollen. Old Madame Lu comforted the two of them as she raised Yun Chujio's status to a whole new level. Seeing the change in old Madame Liu's expression, Yun Chujio couldn't help but give herself 32 likes in her heart. Not only did she hide her red and swollen eyes, she also increased her favorability towards Yun Chujio. It was like killing two birds with one stone. Mo Fangqin pursed her lips. This woman's eyes were already red and swollen. No one would believe that she was worried about her grandmother. Mo Xiaoting led his men to inspect the place. Apart from the fact that more than half of the doors in the Mo residence had been smashed to pieces, they did not find anything out of the ordinary or missing. How strange. What kind of person was so bored that he smashed all the doors in the Mo residence in the middle of the night? Could it be a warning? That's not right. If it was a warning, why didn't he just smash all the doors in the Mo residence to pieces? Why did he have to go through so much effort to smash so many doors? Mo Peng's and Mo Chang's mansions were only separated by a wall from the Mo residence's old mansion. Mo Cheng had stayed at Mo Peng's mansion that night, so when he heard the commotion, he had all rushed over. After discussing it over and over again, everyone was still confused. They had heard of people who killed people, and they had heard of people who stole things. However, this was the first time they had just come to smash a door into pieces. What was the meaning of this person? The next day, at dawn, the area outside the Mo residence was in chaos again. Because, someone noticed that a large chunk of the flagstones on the ground had been shattered. Although this wasn't a big deal if it was an attack with spiritual energy, the fact that no one noticed any traces of spiritual energy was a little unusual. Mo Xiaoting was already suspicious, so he couldn't help but feel even more worried. Could this be a warning from some almighty to the Mo family? But, the Mo family had not provoked anyone. Mo Xiaoting asked his 3 sons for their opinions, so they were naturally dumbfounded. Trash. All of you are useless. How can I trust you with the Mo family? Mo Xiaoting scolded angrily. Mo Peng and the other 2 looked at each other. It didn't matter. After all, they were all being scolded at the same time. Besides, the old man only had 3 sons, so he could only give the family property to them. How could he give it to an outsider? As long as the anger subsided, everything would be fine. At this time, a crisp voice came from outside the study room, "Grandfather. Grandfather. We're here." Mo Xiaoting furrowed his brows. This woman really didn't know what she was doing. After what happened to the Mo residence, they should have just stayed in the courtyard. Why did she come to the study room to cause trouble? Just as Mo Xiaoting was about to let the 2 of them return, he heard Yun Chujio call out, "Grandfather, I have something important to tell you." Mo Xiaoting's heart skipped a beat. "Come in." Mo Cheng's expression turned ugly. He had already heard from Wu Shi that this unfilial daughter had broken Jun Chen's leg. How dare she? Moreover, he had heard that she had won the love of her father and mother. How was this possible? So, when he saw Yun Chujio and Mo Fangqin enter, he immediately yelled, "Unfilial daughter. We are talking business with your grandfather. What are you doing here? Get out of here." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and looked pitifully at Mo Xiaoting. "Grandfather." Mo Xiaoting knew that sometimes it was better to speak less than to say more. It was better to hold back when you wanted to say something. As expected, Mo Xiaoting saw Yun Chujio's pleading eyes and Mo Cheng's angry expression. He was furious. "Second brother. It was me who let Feng Chao and Feng Qin in. What, do you have something against me? Mo Cheng immediately cowered as he quickly explained, Father, I'm not disobeying you. The main issue is this important study room. Why did the two girls come in? What do you mean? Are you saying that I'm old and stupid? HMPH, in my opinion, Feng Chao is stronger than the three of you. If Feng Chao was a grandson, even if I handed the Mo family over to her, I wouldn't hand it over to the three of you idiots. Mo Xiaoting heard Mo Cheng's words, he was even angrier. Mo Pang and Mo Chang heard Mo Xiaoting's words and their hearts tightened. They turned to look at Yun Chuzhou. This little girl knew evil tricks, didn't she? In just a few short days, how did their father think so highly of her? However, the two of them weren't too nervous. After all, Mo Xiaoting had already said that she was just a little girl. There was no way she would hand the Mo family over to her. At most, she would only give them a little more dowry. Plus, the second brother had other plans for her. Father, I really don't understand. How can a little girl like her be better than the three of us? Mo Cheng's face was flushed red. He felt extremely humiliated, so he vented his anger on Yun Chuzhou. This rebellious daughter was indeed a jinx. Mo Xiaoting scoffed and ignored Mo Cheng. Instead, he looked at Yun Chuzhou. Feng Chao, do you have anything to say to grandfather? Yun Chuzhou pulled out a bowl of porridge from her storage ring. Grandfather, I know you haven't slept all night and haven't had breakfast in the morning, so I asked the big kitchen to prepare a bowl of porridge for you. There are some herbs in this porridge to clear your heart and dispel your anger. You should drink it first. No matter how important the matter is, it's not as important as your health. Mo Xiaoting looked at the bowl of porridge and heard Yun Chuzhou's words. No matter how cold-hearted he was still a little touched. Mo Xiaoting did not say a word. He took the bowl of porridge and drank the porridge inside. After he finished the porridge, his nervous mood relaxed a little. Mo Xiaoting placed the empty bowl on the table. He asked Yun Chuzhou gently, Feng Chao, are you here to deliver porridge to grandfather? If you have nothing else to do, you can go back. By the way, the scarlet cloud fruits in the courtyard taste good. Pick some and eat them when you leave. Mo Pang and Mo Chang looked at each other. The old man was so kind and attentive. Wasn't he too good to this Mo Feng Chao? He couldn't help but feel lucky. Fortunately, this Mo Feng Chao was a little girl. Otherwise, he might have really handed the Mo family over to her. As soon as Yun Chuzhou heard that she was about to eat the crimson cloud fruit, her smile grew brighter. Thank you, grandfather. Actually, I came here to tell you my opinion. Before Mo Xiaoting could say anything, Mo Cheng yelled, what do you know? Get out of here. Yun Chuzhou was so frightened that she shrunk her neck and looked at Mo Xiaoting timidly. Bastard! Are you the one in charge here or am I? Mo Xiaoting glared at Mo Cheng. Mo Cheng gritted his teeth and did not say a word. In his heart, he was complaining that his father was too old and muddle-headed. How could a little girl have any opinions? Feng Chao, speak. Don't worry, grandfather will make the decision for you. No one will dare to touch you, Mo Xiaoting warned as he glanced at Mo Pang and the other two. Mo Pang and Mo Chang's intestines were about to turn green with regret. If they had known that this little brat would be doted on by the old man, they would never have brought her here. It was like throwing a rock at their own feet. If things continued to develop like this, their second brother's plans would probably be ruined. The old man would never allow him to do that. However, she was just a little brat from a low-class society. What could she possibly do? How could she have a good opinion about what happened last night? Forget it. It was likely that she would come up with a very childish opinion. Grandfather, do you think it's a bad thing that our door was broken into? Maybe someone warned us. Yun Chujio did not say what she thought. Instead, she asked Mo Shouting. Mo Shouting nodded, that's right. I do think so. Isn't that right? Grandfather, I think the opposite of what you think. I think this is a good thing, and a huge one at that. Yun Chujio said firmly. Mo Ching couldn't help but snort, nonsense. Father, she's just a little girl, how can she have any good ideas? Just let her out of here. Shut up. You're a good-for-nothing yourself. Do you think everyone else is as good-for-nothing as you? Feng Chao, ignore him and continue. Mo Shouting looked at Yun Chujio encouragingly. Grandfather, think about it. If the person had bad intentions, why would they go through so much trouble to smash through only a dozen doors? If it was a warning, wouldn't it be more effective to smash through the doors of the Mo residence? Yun Chujio paused for a moment and secretly observed Mo Xiaoting's expression. She then continued, I think the person is either playing a harmless joke on us. As you know, all the experts in the outside world have their quirks. Perhaps, this person likes to knock on other people's doors for fun. Of course, it was also possible that he was trying to give us some pointers. Mo Ching opened his mouth in an attempt to mock Mo Shouting, but he was afraid that Mo Shouting would scold him. So, he swallowed his words and scoffed in his heart. What nonsense! Feng Chao, you said that this quirk is possible. Then, what do you mean by giving us pointers? What is the expert trying to give us? Mo Shouting asked in confusion. Grandfather, the Mo family originally came from the East Continent. I think the expert wants us to return to our family. Aren't we trapped inside a house right now? Although it's peaceful, we can't see the exciting world outside. Only by opening the door can we have more room for development. To take a step back, Grandfather, none of us have seen how the door broke. Could it be that it wasn't man-made, but God's will? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Well said. Ha! She is indeed my Mo Xiaoting's good granddaughter. She is so smart. You have a point. The stone slabs outside the door were not created by human hands, so this is all part of God's will. Sooner or later, the Mo family will return to the Eastern Continent. Mo Shouting kept praising Yun Chujio. As he looked at Mo Peng and the other two men standing beside him. Mo Shouting was furious, the three of you are all stupid. You can't compare to Feng Chao, you useless piece of trash. You are all part of the Mo family, how can you be so different? Mo Cheng's pupils contracted. He wanted to say something but swallowed it back and glared at Yun Chujio. Father, why are you staring at me? Do you have a different opinion? Yun Chujio looked at Mo Cheng with confusion. Mo Shouting furrowed his brows and said unhappily, Second brother, do you have a different opinion? No. Mo Cheng wasn't that stupid. Mo Shouting was obviously satisfied with what Yun Chujio said. If he said he didn't have a different opinion, he would be looking for trouble. Eldest brother, third brother, do you have a different opinion? Mo Shouting asked Mo Peng and Mo Chang. Mo Peng praised against his heart, Father, what Feng Chao said makes sense. This is a sign from the heavens. Our branch will soon return to the Eastern Continent. Mo Chang added, although niece Feng Chao is young, she is smart and quick-witted. No wonder Father thinks highly of her. Mo Shouting nodded, since you are all so slow-witted, then work hard. How's the business you've been managing recently? Seeing that they were about to discuss the business, Yun Chujio tactfully said, Grandfather, you guys can discuss some business. Third sister and I will take our leave first. The main thing is, I really have a craving for the scarlet cloud fruit. I'll pick some and eat them. Mo shouting couldn't help but laugh. What a gluttonous little girl. Go on. Pick some more. No one likes the taste of the scarlet cloud fruit anyway. Mo Pang and the other two thought to themselves, old man, aren't you ashamed of your words? When did the scarlet cloud fruit not break their heads? Why did no one like to eat it? How biased. Yun Chuzhou did not care whether she was biased or not. This person never knew what it meant to be reserved. When she arrived at the courtyard, she specifically picked large and red fruits. Mo Fangqin couldn't stand it any longer and said softly, "Big sis, that's enough. The scarlet cloud fruit is meant for everyone to try." Only then did Yun Chuzhou jump down from the tree and clapped her hands. I thought what grandfather said was true. Since no one likes it, they'll just pluck it all. The corners of Mo Fangqin's eyes twitched. She didn't believe that Yun Chuzhou couldn't tell that Mo shouting was lying. This guy was greedy. The next day, Auntie Chiu was picked up to the old mansion. Mo Fangqin was very excited as she dragged Yun Chuzhou to see Auntie Chiu. This was the first time Yun Chuzhou had seen Auntie Chiu. Auntie Chiu's appearance wasn't bad, but it was obvious that she was a docile person. If it wasn't for Mo Fangqin protecting her all these years, Mrs. Luo probably wouldn't have needed to do anything. The servants could bully her to death. Yun Chuzhou furrowed her brows. Such a personality was difficult to use. If things went wrong, she might even be a burden. She had to think of a way. That night, Yun Chuzhou said to Mo Fangqin seriously, "Third sister, your aunt's personality is too docile. Firstly, you can't always protect her. Secondly, if she doesn't fight for herself, we can't help her no matter how powerful we are." Mo Fangqin said helplessly, "Big sister, I know what you said, but a leopard can't change its spots. My auntie is such a weak character who doesn't fight for anything. I also advised auntie to be stronger, but it didn't have any effect. Third sister, when dealing with someone with Auntie Chiu's character, you have to use strong medicine. What are you trying to persuade is useless. Strong medicine. What strong medicine?" Mo Fangqin was very confused. There is a saying that a mother is strong. Your personality is too independent and strong, so Auntie Chiu doesn't have the desire and opportunity to become stronger. Mo Fangqin was stunned and then asked, "Big sister, what do you think we should do?" "It's very simple. If you have nothing to do, go to your auntie and complain. Tell her all the grievances you have suffered all these years. Tell her all the grievances in your heart. Don't be afraid that your aunt can't take it. A mother is much stronger than you think. You have to let her have a strong desire that you need her protection and that you need her to become stronger. That's enough." Mo Fangqin felt that it was a little unreliable. Character is not formed in a day or two. You can only slowly change it. How much you can change depends on your acting skills. The weaker you are, the faster and stronger your aunt will change. Mo Fangqin was skeptical. However, she now completely followed Yun Chuzhou's words, so she still followed Yun Chuzhou's instructions. Yun Chuzhou did not idle either. She often went to old Madame Liu's place to gain a good impression and also to sow discord between her and Mrs. Luo. Old Madame Liu now found Yun Chuzhou much more pleasing to the eye than before. If it were not for Mo Junchen who constantly badmouthed Yun Chuzhou would be even more favored. Old Madame Liu followed Yun Chuzhou's instructions and pulled out a few of Wu Shi's spies. Originally, according to old Madame Liu's personality, she would have to cane all these maidservants to death. Yun Chuzhou gave an idea. "Grandmother, why do you have to dirty your hands? Let's not alarm these people first. Maybe when the time comes, we'll use a counterplot and have an unexpected effect." Old Madame Liu laughed and scolded, "You little monkey, you sure have a lot of ideas. Alright, well, do as you say. Yun Chujio secretly memorized the names of these people. TSK, these people had something in my hands, they might be useful in the future. Although Mo Cheng wanted to bring Madame Luo back, old Madame Lu had already given her life. If he went, old Madame Lu would kill herself, so he did not dare to pick up Luo Shi. At the same time, Mo shouting began to put pressure on the Luo family's business. He had long disliked the Luo family, so he could use this as an excuse to vent his anger. Madame Luo's life at her mother's house was not easy. Her brother did not say anything, but his sisters-in-law began to speak coldly. When Madame Luo heard that Auntie Chiu had been brought to the Mo residence, she couldn't sit still any longer. She shamelessly brought Mo Fanghua back to the Mo residence. Slut! Didn't you go back to your mother's house? Didn't you want to use the Luo family to pressure me? Why did you take the initiative to come back? Old Madame Lu pointed at Madame Luo's nose and scolded. Madame Luo's face flushed red. She wished she could tear old Madame Lu into pieces, but she knew that now was not the time to retaliate. Therefore, no matter how old Madame Lu scolded her, she listened respectfully and did not dare to retort. Old Madame Lu looked down at Luo Shi, who was crouching down, and she felt extremely comfortable. This was the first time in so many years that she felt so happy. It was still that little frisky monkey, Fang Chao, who had a solution. Madame Luo waited for old lady Lu to finish scolding her before saying, "Mother, my daughter-in-law was blinded by lard a few days ago, so she said some things that she shouldn't have said. Sir, please forgive your daughter-in-law and forgive her." Humph. Your words are better than your singing. If you were half as filial as that Fangchao girl, I would be Amitabha. Old lady Lu said with a cold humph. The grievance in Madame Luo's heart could be imagined. She gritted her teeth and said, "You're right. Daughter-in-law, you must correct yourself in the future." Old Madame Lu reprimanded Madame Luo for a while more before letting her go. Madame Luo brought Mo Fanghua to Mo Junchen's courtyard. Mo Junchen saw Madame Luo and wailed loudly, "Mother! You must help me get revenge. That little bitch made me suffer so much. I don't know what kind of bewitching potion she gave my grandmother, but she actually defended her and said that she was right to teach me a lesson. I'm so angry." Mrs. Luo was so angry that she gritted her teeth. The old and new grudges were all gathered together. "Junchen, don't worry. Mother will definitely help you get revenge. You just need to recuperate well." After Mrs. Luo returned to the courtyard assigned to her, she could not help but throw a tantrum. That old fart is simply too much of a bully. This is definitely all the work of that country bumpkin. Mother, are we just going to let it go like this? How can that country bumpkin make grandfather and grandmother protect her? Mother, you shouldn't have brought her back in the first place. Mo Fanghua had never been so cowardly before. If it wasn't for Madame Luo stopping them, they would have wanted to kill Yun Chujio to vent their anger. When Madame Luo heard Mo Fanghua's words, her heart was moved. "Fanghua, you go back to your room to rest first. I'll go and discuss something with your father." After Mo Fanghua left, Madame Luo came to the study in the courtyard. When Madame Luo saw Mo Cheng, she naturally complained. Mo Cheng gritted his teeth and said, "You're right. This definitely has something to do with that rebellious daughter. She's really a troublemaker. Husband, this child Fangchao is really too calculative. Moreover, father and mother are spoiling her more and more. If we don't make a decision quickly, I'm afraid that things will change when the time comes." Mo Cheng nodded. "You're right. There's no time to lose. Get father-in-law to immediately contact that side and then get someone from that side to send over the betrothal. Well, settle the marriage. Hurry up and get this loser out of the family." Whether he lives or dies has nothing to do with us. Husband, what if father and mother object? Humph. They want. At most, they will give father a portion of the promised benefits. Don't worry, I have a way to convince father. Mo Cheng's eyes flashed with malice. This wretched girl was the same as that bitch. They both deserve to die. On the other side, Yun Chuzhou and Mo Fangqin had just returned from Mo Xiaoting's study room to Tingyi Xian. Their eyes flashed. Third sister, I heard that Luo Shi is back. Hurry and go to Auntie Chio's place to raise morale. Mo Fangqin nodded and left the courtyard. After Yun Chuzhou returned to her room, she moved the desk away and dug out the square bricks from underneath. Xiao He jumped out from within. Master. Your black-hearted father said that he wants to arrange a marriage for you. You should think of a way quickly. From what he said, the other side will come to give the betrothal gifts soon. Xiao He said anxiously. Arrange a marriage? They want to arrange a marriage for me just because they brought me back. Did he say who the other party is? Yun Chuzhou frowned and was not too surprised. Xiao He repeated what it had heard. Master, it's all thanks to your divine plan that I hid in your black-hearted father's study. Otherwise, things would have been bad. What should we do now? I have to think about it carefully. It's not that easy to plot against me. You continue to keep an eye on me and be careful not to be discovered, Yun Chuzhou said coldly. Master, don't worry. I've made another hole in their bedroom. I guarantee that I'll be able to find out their conspiracy, Xiao He said proudly. The corner of Yun Chuzhou's eyes twitched. She was afraid that she would not be able to get any useful information from the bedroom. Instead, it was the two of them who were having sex. They were probably going to have sex. After Xiao He left, Yun Chuzhou moved the table back to its original position. Yun Chuzhou recalled what Xiao He had said. Mo Cheng had said, it doesn't matter if it's dead or alive. This meant that there was definitely something wrong with the marriage. Either the other party was a pervert, or the other party had other motives for marrying her. However, it was definitely not a good marriage. If not, the Luo clan would have allowed Mo Fanghua to marry instead of her. Yun Chuzhou felt that the matter was a little tricky. The difficulty of this matter depended on the background of the family that wanted to marry her. If the other party was just an average family, she could easily get rid of them by acting coquettishly and using her words. She was afraid that the other party's background was much stronger than the Mo family's. If the other party threatened her, Mo Xiaoting would definitely give up on her. The second possibility was extremely high. Otherwise, Mo Cheng and Madame Luo would not have taken such a huge risk to bring her back from the Tianyuan continent. Most importantly, manager Xia's Hunyuan bell was said to have been lent to Mo Cheng by Mo Xiaoting. This meant that Mo Cheng knew about it. Mo Xiaoting wasn't the only one who knew. Old Madame Lu, Mo Peng and Mo Chang also knew about it. Otherwise, Mo Peng and Mo Chang wouldn't have wanted to succeed her. As long as Mo Cheng gave them enough benefits, no one would speak up for her. Yun Chuzhou walked around the house. What should she do? Escape? Obviously, it wasn't possible. Her current spiritual power was too low. Although she was in danger in the Mo residence, she could at least keep her life. If she ventured out, she would most likely die. Most importantly, she wanted to use the Mo residence as a springboard to the eastern mainland. Since she couldn't escape, she could only think of a way to ruin the marriage. Right now, the only thing she could do was to gain Mo Xiaoting's attention within a short period of time. This attention had to exceed the benefits that the other party had promised. What could she do to make Mo Xiaoting fall out with the other party to protect her? To be honest, Yun Chuzhou couldn't think of a solution for the time being. Although her alchemy or talisman-making skills had an immediate effect, the side effects were too great, so she couldn't use this method as a last resort. Yun Chuzhou also had the thought of asking Di Biming for help, but she immediately rejected it. Firstly, the gigolo was definitely doing something important. He was probably very far away from Fengli City, so far water couldn't quench his thirst. Secondly, I, Yun Chuzhou, am also an ambitious person. We agreed on a 3-year pact. We agreed on becoming the elites of the immortal Yuan continent. If I ask for help in such a small matter, wouldn't that be a slap in the face? Yun Chuzhou was a big-hearted person. If she couldn't think of a solution, she might as well stop thinking about it. When the time came, she would just have to deal with whatever came her way. At worst, she could use her talisman technique to convince Mo Xiaoting. The next morning, Yun Chuzhou and Mo Fangqin arrived at Mo Xiaoting's study room. Mo Xiaoting's expression did not look too good. It was as if he had encountered something troublesome. Yun Chuzhou tactfully did not annoy him. Instead, she sat quietly at the side and read a book. Yun Chuzhou's mind was naturally not on the book. After a long time without turning the page, the corners of his mouth suddenly curled up and his eyes sparkled. Mo Fangqin, who was standing beside him, couldn't help but wonder, what was this black-hearted country bumpkin thinking? After a while, Mo Peng and Mo Chang came in with their heads lowered. Mo Xiaoting saw the two men's anger and was furious. Useless people. How did I, Mo Xiaoting, raise two useless people like you? Father, please calm down. It was only because we were careless that we fell into the trap. We will be careful in the future, Mo Peng said with a red face. Humph. You sure made it sound easy. If you were careless, you would have lost hundreds of millions of high-grade spirit stones. With the speed at which you squandered, the Mo family would be completely wiped out in less than 3 years. You promised me that you would be able to take care of things on your own. The first thing I asked you to do, you ruined it for me. How could I trust you with the Mo family? Mo Xiaoting pointed at Mo Peng and Mo Chang's noses and cursed. He was obviously extremely angry. Mo Chang was being scolded so badly that he couldn't keep his face. He tried to defend himself. Father, you can't put all the blame on me and brother-in-law. It's all because of second brother's brother-in-law. Otherwise, how could we trust him so easily? If I were to say this, it's possible that second brother and his brother-in-law teamed up to set the Mo family up. Clang! Mo Xiaoting smashed the teacup on the table onto the floor. Idiots. How can you be so gullible? You know that the Mo family has been suppressing the Luo family for a long time and they are already unhappy. Yet, you still let the Luo family lead the way for you. Are your heads made of paper? Mo Chang said unhappily, Father, we accept everything you've said. But, are we just going to let second brother get away with this? Humph. He doesn't have the guts. That idiot must have been used by someone. Someone, get second brother here. Mo Xiaoting's head was buzzing. Whether it was his son or grandson, there was no one capable. Who would he leave the Mo family to in the future? Mo Fangqin tried her best to signal Yun Chuzhou with her eyes. Her eyes were about to cramp up. What did she mean? They were already like this, why weren't they taking their leave? This was too indiscernible. Yun Chuzhou acted as if she hadn't seen anything as she calmly continued to read her book. Unfortunately, she did not turn the page for a long time. It was obvious that the drunkard's intention was not in the wine. Mo Xiaoting was so angry that he was about to faint. Naturally, he could not remember to chase them out. As for Mo Peng and Mo Chang, they had the intention of letting the two of them leave, but they were afraid that they would be scolded if they said anything, so they did not dare to say anything. Mo Cheng and Luo Shi had a rough night last night. They yawned sleepily as they walked in. Father, you were looking for me? Mo Shouting was furious when he saw Mo Cheng's expression. You useless thing. What time is it? Tell me, did you know about the plain brocade? Mo Cheng was confused. Plain brocade? What's wrong with plain brocade? Didn't big brother and third brother just bring in a large batch of plain brocade? It was my brother-in-law who arranged it. Mo Cheng immediately said, second brother, what are you pretending for? Did you and your brother-in-law make a trap just to trick me and big brother? Mo Cheng's face was filled with astonishment. Third brother, what did you say? What nonsense, what did I cheat you of? You still don't admit it? Your brother-in-law said that the plain brocade supplied by the merchant was of good quality and cheap price. My brother and I felt that this plain brocade was a popular fabric in the eastern continent, and we could definitely make a huge profit from selling it. Thus, we bought 500 million high-grade spirit stones plain brocade in one go. Who would have thought that when we returned to take a look, only the top few of those plain brocade were good. The plain brocade below were mottled all over. It was obvious that they were not dyed evenly and were defective goods. The biggest selling point of plain brocade was that the color was pure and there was no color difference even when it was dyed. Who do you want me to sell these goods to? Mo Cheng was certain that this was a trap set up by Mo Cheng and could not contain his anger. Mo Cheng was stunned at first, then he sneered and said, third brother, not to mention that I would never do such a thing. Even if I really set a trap, are you an idiot? Don't you know how to inspect the goods? Mo Peng and Mo Cheng's faces flushed red. They naturally knew how to inspect the goods. However, on the day of the delivery of the goods, Mo Cheng's brother-in-law and the merchant arranged for the location to be at a brothel. Mo Peng and Mo Cheng were dazzled by the enchanting woman inside. They quickly glanced at the few pieces of cloth on top and stored them in their storage rings. Mo Shouting saw his three sons blaming each other and blamed each other. His anger grew. Shut up. I will naturally send someone to investigate the truth. If the Luo family is involved, I will not let them off so easily. Now, tell me, what should we do with this batch of goods? Mo Peng probed, Father, why don't we lower the price of this batch of cloth? Lower the price? How much? The original price is 100,000 spiritual stones per piece, but right now, no one wants 5,000 spiritual stones. Those who have money will feel that it's too low, but those who don't will buy cheaper cloth, okay? Then we will lower the price even more. Someone will definitely buy it for 3,000 spiritual stones. Bullshit. Is this what you call an idea? Idiot. Mo Shouting wished he could slap him to death. What a pig's brain. After being scolded, Mo Peng did not dare to speak. Mo Shouting then turned to Mo Cheng, third brother, tell me, what idea do you have? Mo Cheng rolled his eyes, Father, let's give him a taste of his own medicine. He'll find a buyer somewhere else to sell this to him. When the time comes, well, just deny it. Mo Shouting was so angry that he almost fainted. You're driving me crazy. Let's not talk about whether or not idiots like you would fall for it. Even if they did fall for it, wouldn't our Mo family's reputation be ruined? The most important thing in business is reputation. If we don't have a reputation, it's only a matter of time before it's over. Mo Cheng watched from the side as Mo Peng and Mo Cheng were scolded. His eyes flashed with pride. These two idiots still want to compete with me for the position of family head? In your dreams. Second brother, what do you have in mind? Father, I just found out about this matter and was really caught off guard. However, I had an idea just now and am not sure if it's feasible. Speak. Father, I've heard from Xiaoyun that the Luo clan has recently hooked up with people from the extreme desert city. Although the extreme desert city is lacking in resources, it produces fire gravel and is a good material for refining artifacts. As we need to pass through the extreme desert to reach the extreme desert city, very few people go there to do business. If we ask the Luo clan to sell these plain brocade at a lower price in the extreme desert city, and then exchange them for a considerable amount of fire gravel, once we come back and sell them, we'll definitely make a profit without losing anything. Mo Cheng said with a beaming expression. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Oh. Your idea isn't bad. I didn't expect you to be so business-minded. But, will the Luo family agree to it? Mo Xiaoting said with a smile, but his smile did not reach his eyes. Mo Cheng was even more excited when he heard Mo Xiaoting's words, "Father, I just had a sudden thought. With this transaction, not only will we not lose money, we will also make a fortune. It's a great deal." If it was anyone else, the Luo family would definitely not agree. But, what relationship do we have with the Luo family? I will go with Xiaoyun to see father-in-law. He will definitely agree. It's very dangerous to go to the extreme desert city. Will the Luo family help us for free? Mo Xiaoting asked calmly. This is a business transaction. Of course, we will not help you for free. But, our families are relatives after all, so it shouldn't be too much, Mo Cheng said with a flicker in his eyes. If that's the case, you should go to the Luo family right now and find out what's going on. Yes, I'll bring Xiaoyun to the Luo family right now. Mo Cheng's face lit up as he left in a hurry. Father, second brother doesn't usually have so many tricks up his sleeve. If you say that this has nothing to do with him, I won't believe it even if you beat me to death, Mo Chang said through gritted teeth. You guys should go back first. Second brother will come back and see what the Luo family has to say, Mo Xiaoting said noncommittally. Mo Pang and Mo Chang had no choice but to take their leave and leave the study room. Mo Xiaoting sat in his chair without saying a word for a long time before he suddenly asked, Fang Chao, what do you think? Yun Chuzhou giggled, Grandfather, don't you know what's going on in your heart? As a daughter, there are some things that I can't say. Mo Xiaoting let out a long sigh. If you cause trouble, you won't even talk about returning to the eastern continent. I think the moment I step down, the Mo family will be wiped out by these three idiots in less than 3 years. Grandfather, look at what you're saying. You can live for another tens of thousands of years without a problem. Besides, children and grandchildren will have their own blessings. If a son can't do it, maybe a grandson and granddaughter will do it. Take me for example. What do you think of me? Yun Chuzhou shamelessly recommended herself. Mo Fankin's eyes twitched. Big sister, you really dare to say that. The Mo family's housekeeper wasn't someone you could turn to. Just wait to be scolded. Mo Xiaoting was also amused. You little girl, you sure have thick skin. If you were a grandson, grandfather would have considered handing the Mo family over to you. Unfortunately, you are a girl and sooner or later, you will belong to someone else. Grandfather, I don't like what you are saying. So what if you are a girl? I am a member of the Mo family and naturally, I have to do my part for the Mo family. At most, I will give birth to a few more children in the future and one of them will have the surname Mo. Besides, if someone from the Mo family is successful, they'll just hand over the housekeeper to him. If you don't trust me, they'll swear on my life, Yun Chuzhou said as she pouted. Mo Xiaoting was stunned for a moment before he fell into deep thought. Fang Chao, it's good that you have such intentions, but this is a big matter that concerns the Mo family. Grandfather can't make a decision just because you say so. How about this? If you can help grandfather handle the plain brocade beautifully, I'll consider it. If you can't do anything about it, then don't mention anything about taking control of the Mo family and listen to grandfather's arrangements. Do you have the guts to agree? Yun Chujio couldn't help but curse. What an old fox. Even if she succeeded, Mo Xiaoting would only give it a think. He was truly capable of both offense and defense. However, she urgently needed Mo Xiaoting's recognition, so she could only seize the opportunity in front of her. So, Yun Chujio said confidently, "Grandfather, leave this matter to me. I promise that not only will I not lose money on this batch of plain brocade, I will also help you make a huge profit. But, there is a condition. You must keep everything I do a complete secret. You must not tell anyone and give me some reliable servants." Mo Xiaoting did not expect Yun Chujio to actually agree. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. If his 3 sons were so brave, they could have been taught slowly even if they were a little slow. Unfortunately, they were all useless. Tell me, does your father know anything about this? What role does he play? Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Grandfather, since you've asked, I can only speak my opinion. I think that father didn't know about it before, but after the incident, second aunt should have told him some things and then gave him such an idea. As for my father, he must have thought that since the incident had already happened, there was nothing to be done about his resentment towards the Luo family. He might as well take this opportunity to show off in front of you. Second aunt must have told him that this was a great opportunity to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You must have been very disappointed with first uncle and third uncle. With my father's performance, you must have been very fond of him and might have decided to pass on the position of clan head to him, therefore, my father had come to show off in a silly manner. Of course, the biggest beneficiary of this matter would definitely be the Luo clan. The businessman was most likely in cahoots with the Luo family. Not only did he successfully sell the defective goods, he also suggested a way for the Luo family to go to Extreme Desert City. The Luo family would definitely take this opportunity to make another profit, they might even come up with some harsh conditions to threaten the Mo family. What you said makes sense. But, what do you think I should do when your father returns? Mo Xiaoting looked at Yun Chujio as she spoke with confidence. He felt even more regretful that she was a granddaughter. If she was a grandson, the Mo family would definitely shine. Grandfather, we can't let an ingrate like the Luo family get away with this. Let's delay him. We won't say yes or no. Let them lower their guard so we can take action. I promise you, as long as you trust me enough, after I deal with this batch of plain brocade, I will definitely think of a way to bankrupt the Luo family and let others see the consequences of provoking the Mo family. Yun Chujio said confidently. Mo Xiaoting was overwhelmed by the scene described by Yun Chujio. This granddaughter of his was indeed not simple. Not only was she intelligent, she was also bold and domineering. Only someone like her could become a qualified family head. Mo Xiaoting subconsciously tapped his finger on the desk and remained silent for a while. He gritted his teeth. "Fang Chao, as long as you can do what you say, grandfather will give you a chance to become a family head like your uncle. Grandfather, this is the best decision you've made. Give me a chance and not only will I return the Mo family to you, I will also lead them back to the eastern continent." Yun Chujio said proudly. "Fang Chao, everyone knows how to talk big. You should settle the plain brocade issue first." Although Mo Xiaoting's blood was boiling due to Yun Chujio's words, he still poured cold water on her. "Grandfather, don't worry. I promise I'll do it beautifully. However, I need to have some funds to start the work. Do you want to give me some spirit stones first?" Yun Chujio said with a cheeky smile. "How much do you need?" "Not too much. Just give me 20 million high-grade spirit stones first. What? How much did you say? Mo shouting thought he had heard wrong. 20 million, don't you think that's a bit low? Don't worry, I can do great things with a small amount of money. But, if you want to give me more, I won't object, Yun Chujio said with a smile. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Nonsense. Why do you need so many spiritual stones? Mo shouting thought he must have been too anxious to believe that a little girl like her would have a solution to the problem. Grandfather, so you think I'm asking for too much? Didn't you know that 20 million wasn't a lot for a small amount of money? Don't worry, your 20 million is just bait. In the future, I will return you a lot of big fish, Yun Chujio said confidently. Mo shouting was silent for a moment before he gritted his teeth and handed Yun Chujio 20 million high-grade spirit stones. Fang Chao, I'm warning you. If you waste your money, I will not forgive you. Grandfather, don't worry. I guarantee that it will be fine. Give me a few trustworthy people. I think the guards in your study room are not bad. Give them to me and then give me a shrewd shopkeeper. You don't need to worry about the rest. Mo shouting was so angry that his nose almost went crooked. It turned out that this little girl was worried about his guards. She was quite shrewd. These guards had the highest spiritual energy in the Mo residence and were also the most reliable. Mo shouting had no choice but to pull the trigger. He could only grit his teeth and call in a guard. Hey, sure, you and your men will temporarily listen to Fang Chao's arrangements. Her orders are equivalent to mine. Don't make any mistakes, okay? Hey sure was dumbfounded. What did they do wrong? How did they go from being the master's guard to being Miss Fang Chao's guard? But, he did not dare to disobey Mo Xiaoting's orders. So, he simply agreed and left. Fang Chao, you can't leave this matter open-ended. Give me a definite answer. How long will it take for you to sell these plain brocade? Mo shouting had invested a lot in this matter. Of course, he had to get to the bottom of it. Yun Chujio thought for a moment, at most half a month, at least 10 days. I will definitely make you back what you owe me with interest. During this time, on one hand, you will drag the Luo family down. On the other hand, you will think of a way to get my father and second aunt out of Fengli City so that they don't ruin my plans. Also, you should warn first uncle and third uncle not to cause any trouble for me. Mo shouting did not get impatient after hearing Yun Chujio's words. On the contrary, he felt a little more confident in her. The fact that she could think of all this meant that this little girl was quite capable. He wanted to see what she was going to do. The two of them continued to chat about the details before Yun Chujio led the dumbfounded Mo Fangqin out of Tingxian. Hey sure, the few of you came to see me in the middle of the night without anyone noticing. If anyone finds out, I will make you pretend to be beggars. Yun Chujio whispered to He Shi. He Shi nodded in a daze. He had a bad premonition in his heart. He was afraid that the following days would be more exciting than he could imagine. When they returned to Hexian, Mo Fangqin said anxiously, Big sister, why are you doing this job for no reason? It's not easy for grandfather and grandmother to treat us better. If you don't do well, you will be even more disliked than before. Yun Chujio sighed faintly, third sister, I am now sailing against the current. If I don't advance, I will fall back. You also know that father and second aunt did not have good intentions when they brought me back. Do you think grandfather will speak up for me when the time comes? If I don't climb up as soon as possible, I will only be at the mercy of others. Mo Fangqin was silent. She knew that what Yun Chujio said was the truth. The Mo family were all cold-blooded and heartless. There was nothing that they could not sell for profit. Big sister, what do you plan to do? That plain brocade is a batch of defective goods. Not to mention selling it at a high price. Even if it is sold at a low price, there might not be anyone who will buy it. Mo Fangqin asked in confusion. Third sister, this batch of plain brocade is a defective product in the hands of others. When it comes to me, it will be a good thing that everyone will fight over. You just wait and see a good show. The corners of Yun Chujia's lips curled up, and a bright light flashed in her eyes. A business genius was about to appear out of nowhere. Tremble, scum. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Hearing Yun Chujia's words, Mo Fangqin was still a little uncertain. The plain brocade was obviously a defective product. Anyone with eyes could tell. How did it become so popular with her? Was that even possible? After lunch, Mo Xiaoting sent someone to deliver a few plain brocade to Yun Chujio. Mo Fangqin's heart turned cold when she saw it. Not only were the colors of the plain brocade modeled, but the patterns on each of them were also different. Even if she wanted to piece them together, she wouldn't be able to. It would be strange if someone bought these rags. Yun Chujia's eyes lit up as she looked at the rags. It was as if she was looking at gold and silver treasures. Baby. Baby. Third sister, these will soon turn into shiny spirit stones. When the time comes, I will let you drink soup even if you eat meat. Mo Fangqin's eyes twitched. Drink soup. If you don't let me be implicated by you, I will be Amitba. Yun Chujio took out a large kitchen knife and cut off a piece of cloth. Then, she said to Mo Fangqin with a smile, Third sister, I have an important task for you. Mo Fangqin was dumbfounded. What task? It's very simple. Just stand still and don't move. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she took the piece of cloth and started to gesture at Mo Fangqin's body. At times, she was happy, but at other times, she frowned as if she was mentally ill. Big sister, don't tell me you still want to sell these cloth as clothes. You told your grandfather that you would sell these cloth within half a month. This amount of time is not enough to make clothes. Moreover, even if you can finish it, you won't have enough time to sell it. Moreover, can the clothes made from these clothes be worn? Mo Fangqin felt that Yun Chujio was bragging too much this time. It was impossible to sell these clothes. Yun Chujio gestured for a long time before she said to Mo Fangqin, Third sister, go play by yourself. I have to be busy. Although Mo Fangqin was puzzled, she still tactfully left. Yun Chujio took out a pile of rice paper, then took out a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone, and began to draw. This guy drew one, but was not satisfied, so he rolled it into a ball and threw it on the ground. He drew another one, but was not satisfied, so he rolled it into a ball and threw it on the ground. Soon, the ground was full of paper balls. During dinner, Mo Fangqin came to find Yun Chujio, and was shocked when she pushed the door open. She saw that the ground was full of waste paper balls, and Yun Chujio was still drawing. Mo Fangqin saw a stack of drawings on the table and could not help but pick up one. It was a drawing of clothes. Although it was just a simple sketch with pen and ink, it was still eye-catching. The style of these clothes was something she had never seen before. Was the country bumpkin preparing to use these plain brocade satin to cut into ready-made clothes? However, would this defective product ruin this exquisite design? Just as Mo Fangqin was thinking about it, she heard Yun Chujio say, You came at the right time. My handwriting is too elegant and elegant. I'm afraid that others won't recognize it. You write it. Mo Fangqin pursed her lips. Elegant and elegant. I'm afraid that your handwriting is too ugly. Mo Fangqin took the brush and Yun Chujio took out a drawing and handed it to her. This ready-made clothing is made of red cloth and white plain cloth. The material must be light and thin. The image of the ready-made garment flashed in Mo Fangkin's mind. The modeled pattern on the garment, coupled with the white cloth, should have a good effect. Yun Chujio let Mo Fangqin write down the remaining items that needed to be marked in the drawing. Then, she stretched. Okay, it's time for dinner. Big sister, although the clothes you made are novel in style and look good with accessories such as drapes or belts, it doesn't look bad. However, time is limited, and there is no time to make all the ready-made clothes. Moreover, even if it can be completed, I don't think it will sell at a good price. Plus, with all the expenses, it will still be a loss. Mo Fangqin was still uncertain, and she felt that it was too difficult to make a profit without losing money. Third sister, people consider two factors when buying things. One is whether the item is good, and the other is whether the item is famous or not. Now, we've already completed the first step. The clothes are indeed good. The rest depends on the second step. Mo Fangqin was at a loss. Big sister, why can't I understand what you're saying? Famous? How famous can this rag be? If it's really spread out that it's a defective product, then it won't be able to sell. Yun Chujio laughed arrogantly, that depends on how you want to fool me. You just wait and see. Mo Fangqin still felt that this matter wasn't reliable, but seeing that Yun Chujio wanted to keep her in suspense, she decided not to ask. In the middle of the night, He Shi sneaked into Yun Chujio's courtyard with a few people. They were devastated. As guards of the Mo residence, how could they sneak into the young Miss courtyard like a joke? The one who was even more devastated was a fat old man. This was the shopkeeper that Mo Xiaoting had found for Yun Chujio. He was brought here by He Shi. The fat old man's surname was Guo. Even now, he was still in a daze. What was he trying to do? He had been kidnapped from his home in the middle of the night, claiming that it was an order from the master. If the master wanted to see him, why didn't he see him in the day? Besides, this courtyard was not the master's courtyard. Yun Chujio heard the commotion outside and signaled for Qing Ji and Qing Lu to keep an eye on the outside. She led the group into a small living room at the side. The reason why Yun Chujio dared to use Qing Ji and Qing Lu was that this fellow had the names of the spies of the Wuxia and the others. They were not on the list. Moreover, she had observed them for a period of time and found that the two handmaidens were quite obedient. She had also threatened and bribed them. She had let them handle some unimportant matters. Shopkeeper Guo was even more dumbfounded when he saw Yun Chujio and Mo Fangqin. Although he did not know Yun Chujio and Mo Fangqin, he could tell from their clothes that they were the young ladies of the Mo residence. How could he come to see them in the middle of the night? Yun Chujio sized up shopkeeper Guo. Shopkeeper, what's your surname? My surname is Guo, shopkeeper Guo said respectfully. So it's shopkeeper Guo. You might not know why I called you here. It's like this. My grandfather gave me a task, which is to sell the plain brocade that my uncle and the others brought in at a high price. I asked my grandfather to give me a shrewd shopkeeper. Since you have been chosen by my grandfather, it means that you are the best among the many shopkeepers of the Mo family. I hope you won't disappoint me. Shopkeeper Guo finally understood and his heart sank. That batch of plain brocade was a defective product. How could it be sold at a high price? This mission was simply too difficult. Was he supposed to think of a way to sell it? It couldn't be sold at all. Yun Chujio saw shopkeeper Guo and guessed his thoughts. She couldn't help but smile. Shopkeeper Guo, don't worry. I have my own plans for what to do. I have a task for you now. Find a dozen or so reliable tailors and finish making these ready-made drawings within 2 days. You can just ask Uncle for the plain brocade. Keep your actions secret and don't let others find out. Shopkeeper Gua took the drawing that Yun Chujio handed over and couldn't help but click his tongue in wonder. Miss Fangcao, did you draw this? The style of the clothes on it is really too novel. If you use other fabrics to make ready-made clothes, the sales will definitely be good. However, if you use those defective products to make it, although it should be good, I'm afraid it won't be easy to sell it at a high price. You just need to make the clothes well. You don't have to worry about other things. After the first batch of ready-made clothes is made, I will ask Heisher to go and get them. Then, you guys hurry up and make as many as you can. I have other arrangements, Yun Chujio said coldly. Shopkeeper Gua saw Yun Chujio's cold tone and didn't dare to say anything more. However, he didn't think much of it in his heart. Why did she come here in the middle of the night to talk about such a small matter? She was really making a big fuss over nothing. Just as Shopkeeper Gua was thinking about this, he heard Yun Chujio say coldly, "Shopkeeper Gua, do you think I'm making a big fuss over nothing? Moreover, these cloths can't be sold at all. I'm warning you, if you mess up this matter, the first thing you'll do is to kill you." As soon as Yun Chujio finished speaking, Shopkeeper Gua felt a chill on his neck, and a big kitchen knife was placed on his neck. Shopkeeper Gua was so frightened that he nearly fainted. Oh God, this young lady of fragrant grass is too scary. Why does she always use a large kitchen knife? Other masters would at most just scare her, but this one, she directly attacked. Shopkeeper Gua originally had some intentions of perfunctory, but after being frightened by Yun Chujio, he immediately threw those thoughts out of his mind. What a joke, if he didn't take it seriously, this crazy young lady would really take his life. Shopkeeper Gua, I've always been clear about rewards and punishments when handling matters. Don't worry, if you do this matter beautifully for me, I won't lose any of your benefits. Take this 1 million upper-grade spirit stones first. Shopkeeper Gua was even more dumbfounded. 1 million upper-grade spirit stones. This fragrant grass young lady was too generous. Although finding a tailor would cost a bit, she still didn't need to spend so much. Do you have any more questions? If not, wait outside the courtyard. I still have something to tell Heisher and the others. Yun Chujio saw Shopkeeper Gua's stunned expression. She thought to herself, red dates and a big stick were indeed a good way to quickly subdue her subordinates. Shopkeeper Gua heard Yun Chujio's question and quickly shook his head. Then, he went into the courtyard to wait. Heisher and the others felt uneasy. What kind of mission would this Miss Fong Chao assign them? She made it so mysterious. What exactly was she going to do? Yun Chujio babbled her thoughts to Heisher and the others. Everyone's faces stiffened. How did this Miss Fong Chao's head grow? How did she come up with these strange ideas? Do you all understand what each of you have to do? I will give each of you 1 million high-grade spirit stones. You have to pay more and pay less. Don't be afraid of spending money. Do it beautifully for me. Do you understand? Heisher and the others nodded one after another. They only had one thought in their hearts. This Miss Fongchao was really generous. 1 million high-grade spirit stones in one go. She was really generous. After Heisher and the others left, Mo Fongqin was silent for a long while. She said to Yun Chujio, "Big sister, I believe that you can sell these cloths for a good price this time." "You're too mean." "Third sister, this isn't called mean. This is called building momentum. Besides, there are no unscrupulous businessmen. You have a lot to learn." Yun Chujio said smugly. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. 2 days later, Mo Shouting noticed that Yun Chujio was happily reading in the study room every day. She did not do anything, so he couldn't help but ask curiously, "Feng Chao, how's the situation going?" "It's already been 2 days. Grandfather, everything is under my control." "Don't worry," Yun Chujio said confidently. "You sure talk big, little girl." "I'll wait and see." Mo Shouting laughed. "Grandfather, I don't do things that I'm not confident in. Since I've promised you, I will definitely do it." "I hope so." Just as the grandfather and grandson were chatting, housekeeper He from the Mo residence came over to report, "Master, there's a group of people outside. They say they're from the Zhao family. Second young master and second madam are also with them." Mo Ziyading's expression changed. He slammed the table angrily. "Built the feudal city's Zhao family. Second brother is an idiot. How did I give birth to such a stupid waste?" Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat. Mo Cheng and Luo Shi were also with her. So, this Zhao family must be the Zhao family that wanted to marry her. She didn't expect them to arrive so quickly. "Grandfather. Father had once let slip that there was a Zhao family that wanted to marry me. However, it was not a good match. It was no different from selling me out. Grandfather, I know that as the head of the family, the interests of the Mo family are naturally the most important. If the Zhao family were to offer a sizable exchange, you would definitely be in a dilemma. I do not blame you, because if I were you, I would also put the interests of the family first. But, since I am your granddaughter, please give me a chance to prove myself. I will prove that the benefits you will bring me will be thousands of times more than what the Zhao family will give you. I will definitely lead the Mo family back to the eastern continent." Yun Chujio said as she looked at Mo Shouting with determination. Mo Shouting was obviously caught off guard. He did not expect Yun Chujio to know the Zhao family's intentions and say something like this. If Yun Chujio had simply begged or complained, not only would Mo Shouting not show any mercy, he would have even insisted on marrying her off. After all, the Zhao family was not to be underestimated. Offending them would not bring any benefits. Not to mention, there would be plenty of benefits. However, not only did Yun Chujio not complain, she even said that she understood his difficulties. This made Mo Shouting feel a little pity and relief. He felt that this granddaughter of his was a reasonable person. Mo Shouting thought back to the events of the past few days. After a moment of silence, he finally said, "Grandfather is not a cold-hearted person. You know how filial you are to him. You don't have to worry about the Zhao family for now. Just sell the plain brocade and we will discuss the future." "Thank you, grandfather." "I will definitely take care of the plain brocade issue. I won't let you down. Since we have a guest visiting, third sister and I will take our leave." Yun Chujio couldn't help but curse in her heart. This old fox was really stubborn. It looked like he would temporarily delay the Zhao family. If she took care of the matter regarding the plain brocade, then the crisis would be temporarily resolved. If she didn't take care of it properly, the old fox would most likely agree to the Zhao family's request. What a cold-blooded old bastard. "Okay, let's go back." Mo Shouting noticed that Yun Chujio did not continue to pester the Zhao family. He couldn't help but be satisfied with the way she handled the matter. If the plain brocade matter could really be taken care of. It wasn't a bad idea to have a falling out with the Zhao family and ask her to stay. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. After sending Yun Chujio away, Mo Shouting arrived at the reception hall. A moment later, Mo Cheng and Luo Shi accompanied an old man into the room. "Father, this is the second elder of the Zhao family. He has specially come to discuss the marriage between Fang Chao and us, Mo Cheng said with a bow. Mo Xiaoting was furious when he saw Mo Cheng and Luo Shi fawning over him. How embarrassing. Oh, it's second elder Zhao. Please have a seat. Someone, come and take a look at the tea. Mo Xiaoting's tone was a little distant and unfriendly. The second elder of the Zhao family only nodded slightly before sitting down. He did not even say a word of courtesy. It was obvious how arrogant he was. Luo Shi said from the side, "Father, should we call out the fragrant grass for the second elder to take a look?" "How dare you? How dare a woman like you interrupt us? Get out of here." Mo Xiaoting shouted unhappily. Catching a child was not a business deal, not to mention it was not a business deal. Luo Shi's face was red from embarrassment. She took her leave, her heart filled with hatred. "Old fart, just you wait." After scolding Luo Shi, Mo Xiaoting picked up his teacup and drank his tea without a word. The second elder of the Zhao family did not expect Mo Xiaoting to have such an attitude. When he saw Mo Cheng and Luo Shi trying to curry favor with him, he originally thought Mo Xiaoting would have the same attitude. But, he did not expect Mo Xiaoting to be so unpredictable. "Master Mo, let's not beat around the bush. I am here to help my nephew, the youngest son of the Zhao family, propose a marriage. As long as the marriage is confirmed, our two families will be in-laws. Not only will the betrothal gifts be generous, the Dao talismans that the Zhao family specializes in will be offered to the Mo family at the lowest price," the second elder said. He looked at Mo Xiaoting confidently. He did not think Mo Xiaoting would reject his offer. The Dao talisman's business had a huge profit margin, but it was only possible if there was a source of supply. There were very few high-level talisman masters on the immortal Yuan continent. So, if any family had a few talisman masters, it would be like raising a money tree. The Zhao family was a famous talisman family on the immortal Yuan continent's western continent. Almost all of the talismans on the western continent were supplied by the Zhao family. If they could get their hands on the low-priced talismans, it would be a huge profit. This was also the reason why Mo Cheng took such a huge risk to bring Yun Chuzhou back. As long as he signed a partnership agreement with the Zhao family, the benefits would be huge. Although Mo Xiaoting had expected this, he was still shocked by second elder Zhao's words. As long as he married the herb, he would receive such a huge benefit. It was simply too worthwhile. If it wasn't for Yun Chuzhia's face painting in her words, Mo Xiaoting would have agreed without hesitation. At most, he would have added a few additional conditions. But, at this moment, he began to hesitate. A troubled expression appeared on his face. Second elder Zhao, logically speaking, this marriage should be a good one. But, Fang Chao has just been found and she has suffered a lot over the years. We can't make such a hasty decision. I need to ask her for her opinion. Second elder Zhao furrowed his brows. He originally thought that Mo Xiaoting would agree to it after he finished speaking, but he didn't expect Mo Xiaoting to give him an ambiguous answer. Mo Cheng couldn't sit still any longer and said anxiously, "Father, marriage has always been arranged by parents since ancient times. What does a little girl like her know? Where can you find such a good marriage? Please help her make a decision." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Xiaoting wished he could slap Mo Cheng to death as he glared at him. He then turned to second elder Zhao and said, "Second elder Zhao, you've come a long way. It's been a long journey. Why don't you stay at my Mo residence for a few days and let me do my part as a host? As for the marriage, I will give you an answer as soon as possible." Second elder Zhao was extremely unhappy. He replied coldly, "Thank you for your hospitality, Patriarch Mo." In other words, the matchmaker for my nephew had already broken through the door. If it wasn't for second Master Mo's sincerity, I wouldn't have come. So, it's best for Patriarch Mo to make a decision as soon as possible. The Zhao family will not force you. It had been a long time since Mo Xiaoting had been ridiculed like this, so he was naturally unhappy. He said coldly, "Second Elder Zhao, the biggest reason you came all the way here to propose marriage is probably because of Fang Chao's maternal family. Although the Mo family wants to develop further, it's not to the extent that we can't survive without working with the Zhao family. So, Second Elder Zhao, please wait patiently for a few days." "Master Mo, what do you mean?" "It's fine if you don't agree, but do you think the Zhao family won't be able to get a daughter-in-law?" Second Elder Zhao jumped to his feet. "Second Elder Zhao, calm down, calm down. My father is reluctant to part with his granddaughter. He doesn't mean anything by it." Mo Cheng's forehead was covered in sweat as he complained to Mo Xiaoting in his heart. All he had to do was agree. Why did he have to wait for a few days? Could it be that he had lost his mind? Second Elder Zhao, Mo Cheng is right. I really don't want to part with my precious daughter and get married so early. My words were a little harsh, please don't take it to heart. Mo Cheng, accompany Second Elder Zhao to the guest house to rest. Tonight, I will arrange a banquet to welcome Second Elder Zhao. Mo Xiaoting suppressed the dissatisfaction in his heart. He pulled back his words. Seeing that Mo Xiaoting had pulled back his words, Second Elder Zhao came back with a mission. So, he decided to play along and smooth things over. After making arrangements for Second Elder Zhao, Mo Cheng rushed over to see Mo Xiaoting. "Father, as long as we have the low-priced talisman from the Zhao family, we will be able to earn a lot of money. This is a great opportunity for the Mo family to rise to fame. How can you push it away?" Mo Cheng complained. Mo Xiaoting glanced at him. If the marriage is successful, what benefits will the Luo family get? Mo Cheng was shocked and his face turned a little embarrassed. "Father, what does this have to do with the Luo family?" "Pa!" Mo Xiaoting slammed his hand on the table, "Don't play dumb with me. Why don't you just tell me the truth?" Mo Cheng saw that Mo Xiaoting was getting angry, so, he could only say in a low voice, "It's not that beneficial. The Zhao family has only agreed to give the Luo family a certain amount of talismans. Father, don't worry. The majority of the talismans belong to the Mo family. The amount the Luo family can get is only 1/5 of ours." Mo Xiaoting nearly fainted from anger. You idiot. Is 1/5 too little? The fragrant grass belongs to the Mo family. Why should the Luo family get 1/5? In the future, if anything happens to the fragrant grass, the Mo family will bear all the blame. The Luo family will have nothing to do with it. Besides, with the Luo family competing with us, can our talismans still be sold at a high price? Do you have a brain, you idiot? Mo Cheng was scolded like a dog. He stretched his neck and explained, "Father, I understand what you're saying, but without the Luo family pulling the strings, we can't get along with the Zhao family. Besides, my father-in-law said that as long as we agree to this marriage, they will help us deal with the plain brocade for free." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Xiaoting sneered, "So you're waiting here. The Luo family sure put in a lot of effort. Good, good. Second brother, you really have a good wife." Mo Cheng obviously knew that Mo Xiaoting was mocking him, but he didn't think much of it. Was the Luo family doing something wrong? It was obviously a matter of mutual benefit. The matter of the plain brocade could only be blamed on boss and third brother, not the Luo family. You should accompany Second Elder Zhao for the next few days. I'll think about it again, Mo Xiaoting said with a dark expression. Father, this shop won't exist after this. You should hurry up and make a decision. Only the Zhao family is interested in that trash Fang Chao, get lost. Mo shouting angrily threw his teacup at Mo Cheng. Mo Cheng left with a dirty look on his face. Mo shouting let out a long sigh. His family was so unlucky. How did he end up with such an idiot? Of course, he was also tempted by the Zhao family's offer. But, he had always felt that Yun Chujia's offer would come true. If that was the case, why should he be bullied by the Zhao family? Most importantly, he would be charged with selling his granddaughter. Forget it. Let's see if Fang Chao, that lass, can sell the plain brocade. On the other side, old Madame Lu was asking Luo Shi about the Zhao family. Mother, this is a good marriage that cannot be found even with a lantern in hand. As long as Fang Chao marries her, our Mo family will rise to fame. Said Luo Shi with beaming eyes. Humph. What a nice way to put it. Since it's so good, why don't you let Fang Hua marry her? Old Madame Lu now found Madame Luo quite an eyesore. Madame Luo choked and said awkwardly, Mother, it's not a question of who we want to marry. The Zhao family has specifically asked us to marry Fang Hua. Old Madame Lu scoffed, HMPH. You've pushed it so far. By name? Don't think that I don't know what you've done. I'm not that old. Mother, are you saying that you won't let Fang Hua marry him? Luo Shi asked on purpose. She didn't think that old Madame Lu would give up on the fat in her mouth. It's not up to me to decide. Let's see what master will do. Although old Madame Lu couldn't bear it, it wasn't to the extent of challenging Mo shouting for Yun Chujia's sake. Luo Shi couldn't help but curl her lips. Mo Fang Chao, do you think it's useful for you to curry favor with these two old fogies? HMPH, when it comes to benefits, you are still the one who has been abandoned. Another 2 days passed and everything was as usual. There was no special news. Mo shouting was a little uncertain. Could this little girl be bragging? If time ran out and she couldn't do it, then marrying her off would not be a pity. As for the warmth between grandfather and grandson, Mo shouting naturally did not take it to heart. Nothing was more important than the interests of the Mo family. Mo Fangqin could no longer sit still. Big sis, it's already been 4 days. Why hasn't there been any movement? Could it be that He Shi's progress isn't going well? Yun Chujio was calm, don't worry, there won't be a problem. Besides, even if he doesn't succeed, I have a way to sell the plain brocade. What way? Buddha said, you can't tell, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Mo Fangqin was so angry that she was twitching. If she didn't say it, then so be it. The emperor was really not in a hurry. Let's see what she would do in the end. After Mo Fangqin left, Xiao Hanio asked curiously, Master, if He Shi and the others don't succeed, what do you plan to do? Isn't that simple? I have a lot of money. If I really can't do it, I can find someone to buy the plain brocade. Xiao Hanio, Mo. Alright, the black-hearted owner was so poor that she only had money left. Although this move was rough, it was absolutely useful. No wonder she suddenly relaxed these few days. It turned out that she had thought of such a rich method. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days had passed and there was still nothing out of the ordinary. However, the second elder of the Zhao family was getting impatient. So, he directly said that if Mo Shouting did not give him an accurate answer, he would have to return home. Mo Shouting had no choice but to find an excuse to delay Mo Shouting. He promised that he would give Mo Shouting an answer after 3 days. Fang Chao, it's not that grandfather is a man of his word. The Zhao family is really pushing you too hard. Grandfather can only give you 3 more days, Mo Shouting said helplessly. Yun Chuzhou couldn't help but sneer in her heart. The half a month she had promised was now reduced to 10 days. How cold-blooded. But, of course, she wouldn't say it out loud. Instead, she said obediently, "Grandfather, I understand your difficulties. Don't worry, I will definitely do it within 3 days." Mo Shouting saw how tactful Yun Chuzhou was. He felt a little guilty. "Fong Chao, it's good that you don't blame grandfather. Grandfather has promised you that as long as you can resolve the plain brocade issue, grandfather will definitely reject the marriage of the Zhao family." Yun Chuzhou couldn't help but laugh at herself. At least she had managed to get something out of it. That night, He Shi and the others sneakily came to see Yun Chuzhou. "Miss Fong Chao, we have completed the task you asked us to do. Here are the remaining spirit stones." Yun Chuzhou nodded in satisfaction. "Each of you will leave 50,000 spirit stones as a reward." He Shi and the others could not believe their ears. Heavens, this Miss Fong Chao was too generous. She actually rewarded them so much. He Shi and the others declined for a while, but in the end, they still kept the spirit stones. After this incident, Yun Chuzhou's glittering image had taken root in their hearts. After Yun Chuzhou inquired, she let the others go back first, leaving He Shi behind. He Shi saw that Yun Chuzhou only stared at him without saying anything, and he could not help but feel a little scared. "Miss Fong Chao, what are your orders?" "He Shi, what do you think of me?" He Shi was scared silly. Damn, this Miss Fong Chao couldn't have taken a fancy to him, right? He Shi's face flushed red. "Miss Fong Chao, this isn't appropriate. You better stop talking." Yun Chuzhou was stunned at first, and then she laughed out loud. "You're thinking too much. I'm asking you, what do you think of me as your master?" He Shi wished that he could find a hole to hide in. After a long time, he squeezed out a sentence, "Of course you're a good master, you're generous. Then I'll ask you to come over from grandfather, what do you think?" "You don't have to rush to give me an answer, go back and think about it before you give me an answer. If you stay in the Mo family, at most you'll be able to become a guard commander. But if you follow me, I guarantee that I'll let you see the wider world, and walk to a height that you can't imagine." He Shi felt that his brain was not enough. This wave after wave of impact was too unexpected. "Now, go and find shopkeeper Gua and give him this letter. Ask him to do as he says." Yun Chuzhou took out a written letter and handed it to He Shi. Of course, this letter was written by Mo Fongqin. He Shi nodded and took the letter out of the manor to find shopkeeper Gua. Shopkeeper Gua, who was sleeping, was startled awake again. After reading the letter, he could not fall asleep. Is this Miss Fong Chao sick? What kind of monster is this? Forget it. Anyway, he is the master. Just do as she says. The next day, the entire Fengli city was shocked. Hey, have you heard? The Brocade House has launched a dress called Heaven, Earth, Mountains, Rivers, and Moonlight. A set actually costs 200,000 high-grade spirit stones. It's simply a sky-high price. That's right. Normally, a top-grade dress is only around 150,000. What right does he have to sell it at such an expensive price? Is he crazy about making money? A lot of people quickly gathered at Jinqiu village. They were all here to watch the show, pointing at the heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight skirt hanging on the wall. This heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight skirt style is quite novel. This material seems to be plain brocade, but why are there patterns of different depths on it? Shoo! I heard that this plain brocade seems to be a defective product that has not been dyed evenly. What? Defective product? It's a defective product, but it's still sold at a high price. Isn't this brocade house too much of a scam? Shopkeeper Gua's chubby forehead was covered in sweat. He had rejected this matter in his heart, but Yun Chujia's letter had arranged it this way. Shopkeeper, is your heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight skirt really 200,000%? Someone asked loudly. Shopkeeper Gua thought of Yun Chujia's instructions. He pretended to be arrogant and said, that's right. The heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight skirt is made with complicated workmanship. Each skirt is unique, so the stock is limited. If you want to buy it, you can only pay 10,000 spirit stones to reserve it first. The quantity is limited. First come, first served. What the hell was that? He had to pay to reserve it. Was this shopkeeper Gua's head stuck in the door? It would be strange if someone bought this piece of trash. The news quickly reached the ears of everyone in the Mo residence. Mo Pang and Mo Chang naturally gloated over Yun Chujia's misfortune. They knew that this was Yun Chujia's idea. They thought to themselves, this lass looks smart, but she's actually still young. Isn't she just fooling around? What kind of fool would spend 200,000 spiritual stones on a defective product? Although Mo Chang and Luo Shi did not know that this was Yun Chujia's idea, they still scoffed at it. They thought it was Mo Pang and Mo Chang's idea, so they laughed at it, thinking that it was a joke. After hearing about it, Mo Xiaoting could not help but feel a little disappointed. It seemed that he had overestimated the Fong Chao girl. This idea was simply stupid. Did you think that just because you gave her a big name, she would say that there was a limit to the number of products? Someone would buy it at a high price. How childish. It seemed like he should talk to second elder Zhao about the marriage. The Zhao family's offer was more realistic. Perhaps, with the money from selling talismans, he would be able to open up a path back to the eastern continent. In the blink of an eye, another 2 days passed. The number of people gathered outside the entrance of Jinxiu village was decreasing. They were all laughing at the fact that Jinxiu village and the Mo family were crazy about earning money. Only a fool would buy these tattered clothes. The next day was the deadline Mo Xiaoting had given Yun Chujio. In the morning, Yun Chujio went to Mo Xiaoting's study room as usual to read. Mo Xiaoting couldn't help but sigh. It had to be said that this Fong Chao girl was really calm. Even at this time, she still did not panic. If it wasn't for the fact that the Zhao family was too generous, it would have been nice to nurture this little girl. Mo Xiaoting was deep in thought when he heard Yun Chujio say, "Grandfather, today is the last day. How about you accompany me and Fang Qin for a walk?" In the past, not only would Mo Xiaoting not agree, he would even yell at her. But now, he felt a little guilty, so, he said, "All right. Since there's nothing much to do today, they'll bring the two of you out for a walk." Yun Chujio thanked her happily and led Mo Fangqin out of the Mo residence with Mo Xiaoting. "Grandfather, let's go sit down with the welcoming immortal. Let's go have some tea and listen to some music," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Mo Xiaoting did not want to wander the streets, so he agreed without hesitation. The group went to the second floor of the welcoming immortal and drank tea and listened to music. Inca Xian was the largest teahouse in Fengli City. It was right across from Jinxiu Zhuang. The guests inside the teahouse were surprised to see Mo Xiaoting and his entourage. Why did the Mo family bring two little girls to drink tea with them? They had never seen these two girls before. They must be the young ladies of the Mo family, right? As the crowd looked at Mo Xiaoting, they couldn't help but think of the beautiful dress and started whispering amongst themselves. Although their voices were soft, Mo Xiaoting could still hear them. His expression darkened as he looked through the window at Mianxiu Manor. Originally, Mian Shil Manor's business was quite good, but after the heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight dress incident, everyone's impression of it changed drastically. Apart from the onlookers, no one came to buy clothes. Shopkeeper Gua had lost a few pounds over the past 2 days, yet he still had to put on a confident front. He almost wanted to die. Mo Shouting looked at the bleak scene in Mian Xiu Zhuang and couldn't help but feel regretful. It seemed he had overestimated this little girl. After all this trouble, the business of Mian Xiu Zhuang had been affected. It wasn't worth it. Mo Shouting thought of the 20 million high-grade spirit stones and asked softly, Fang Chao, you didn't spend much spirit stones, right? Grandfather, I've always been frugal. I only spent 10 million, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Mo Shouting felt a buzzing sound in his head. 10 million was still not enough. It was over. This 10 million must have gone to waste. At this thought, Mo Shouting was no longer in the mood to drink tea. With a cold expression, he said, enough, we've strolled around and drank our tea. Let's go home. Yun Chujio said with a smile, Grandfather, we've only drank a cup of tea. What's the rush? Let's sit for a while longer. There might be a good show to watch. If they weren't outside, Mo Shouting would have given her a good scolding. So, he could only grit his teeth and remain silent. At this moment, the streets began to bustle with noise. 2 young women walked into Mian Xiu Zhuang. Most importantly, they were wearing a sky, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight dress. One was aqua blue while the other was light yellow. Both of them were paired with a white cloth. As the 2 of them walked slowly, the mottled patterns on their dresses kept changing, adding a bit of liveliness to their bodies. Sigh, it goes without saying that this heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moon's dress looks pretty good on me. That's right. If it weren't for the price being too high, it wouldn't be too bad to buy a set. After all, this plain brocade is waterproof and fireproof. It won't break even after wearing it for a few years. That's strange. Didn't Mian Xiu village say that the heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moon's dress is limited in number and can only be reserved? Why are these 2 ladies wearing it? Where did they buy it? Everyone was extremely curious. They all gathered around the entrance of Mian Xiu Zhuang, and some people even went inside to watch the show. The girl wearing aqua blue clothes said, I heard that you guys also have heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moon dresses here. How much are you selling them for? Shopkeeper Gua ignored her and said, 200,000 for a set. Pay 10,000 spirit stones first to reserve it. 200,000. Are you sure you said 200,000? The yellow girl said in surprise. Those who were watching the show couldn't help but gloat. These 2 girls must have bought it at a very cheap price. After all, it was a defective product. Let's see how shopkeeper Guo will deal with it. That's right. It's 200,000. If you think it's too expensive, you can go to another shop and buy it. Shopkeeper Guo said firmly, but his heart was filled with tears. This wasn't the attitude of selling things. Could this be sold? It's not expensive. It's not expensive. 10,000 spirit stones, right? This is 100,000 high-grade spirit stones, I'll order 10 sets. Give me 1 set of all colors. The girl in aqua blue hurriedly said. I'll order 10 sets too. No, I'll order 20 sets, give my cousins 1 set too. The girl in light yellow hurriedly said, as if she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to get it. Shopkeeper Gua didn't say anything for a long time, but the girl in light yellow clothes became a little anxious. Shopkeeper, tell me if you can do this or not. She didn't know that shopkeeper Guo's heart was turning upside down. Oh God, someone actually came to buy this defective product. 10 sets. Shopkeeper Guo thought of the letter Yun Chujio wrote to him and suppressed the excitement in his heart. With a cold face, he said, the owner has told us that there is a limited number of these heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moon dresses. In order to let more people buy them, everyone is limited to 10 sets. If there are any more, we can't sell them. I'm sorry. The onlookers were stunned. Holy shit. Not only were people buying this shit heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moon dresses, but they were also fucking limited. Was this shopkeeper Guo crazy or were those two girls crazy? Just as everyone was thinking about it, the girl in the light yellow dress was unhappy. Shopkeeper, how can you be like this? Open the door and do business. I can buy as much as I want. Why is there a limited edition dress? Shopkeeper Guo thought to himself, fucking he didn't want to do this. But, this was exactly what the little ancestor had told him. If he didn't do as he was told, he might have to move his head. Mo Xiaoting, who was sitting in the tea house, furrowed his brows. It wasn't easy for someone to come and buy, so why wasn't he selling? This shopkeeper Guo was usually quite smart, but what did he do today? How could he push his business forward? However, where did those two ladies buy the heaven, earth, mountains, and rivers, and moon dresses from? Could it be that someone else also used this plain brocade dyed with flowers to make clothes? Everyone's gaze focused on shopkeeper Guo. Shopkeeper Guo spread his hands helplessly. Miss, I'm really sorry. This is what the owner told me. Each person can only buy 10 sets of this heaven, earth, mountains, and rivers, and moon dresses at most. If you are not satisfied, you can look at the other dresses in the shop. Those are not limited to purchase. The girl in the light yellow dress curled her lips. I want to buy this heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight dress. I don't like other clothes. We came all the way here. Can't you make an exception? That's right, shopkeeper. We also came all the way here because we heard that you have a heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight dress here. You can make an exception. The girl in the water blue dress echoed. Shopkeeper Guo felt as if he was talking to a dog in his heart. Oh God, after doing business for so many years, he had never encountered such a situation. The customer wanted to buy it, but the shopkeeper refused to sell it. Was he crazy? However, Yun Chujio had told him in advance. He could only grit his teeth and said, ladies, I'm really sorry. Our shop has rules. The heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight skirt is limited to 10 sets per person. If the two of you have any objections, you can go to another shop to have a look. You're so unreasonable. Lan Xiang, let's go. We're not buying from him anymore. The girl in the light yellow dress said angrily. The girl in the water blue dress was a little hesitant. Su Xing, we came all the way here for this heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight dress. Wouldn't it be a joke if we returned empty-handed? Moreover, this 200,000 yuan is too cheap. Let's buy it. But, this shopkeeper is too much. I don't want to buy it anymore. The two young girls began to argue in a low voice, but the spectators managed to catch some crucial information. They came for the heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and moonlight skirt. What was so special about this lousy skirt? Wasn't it made from plain brocade with dyed flowers? Could it be that there was another difference? Also, 200,000 is too cheap. From the sound of it, it must be much more expensive elsewhere. How is that possible? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.